Hello, and welcome to the TheDimStream. I'm Beverly, and this is Alex. And it's the first day of December.
Yes, it is.
Thursday, December 1st, which is what I was telling you like right before we went on air, is that I watched Elf and Spirited today, and Spirited like pretty much right before this. And I watched the original Christmas Story to refresh myself on that because it's been a long time, and then A Christmas Story Christmas. But I'm like, I'm not ready for I needed it. I'm not in the Christmas spirit yet. Like December is when I'm like, okay, then I continue through like January too for all the movies that I hadn't finished yet after. But it's hard for me to feel Christmassy.
I watched Spirited yesterday, and I watched A Christmas Story Christmas and Elf today.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
hardly pay attention to Elf because I've seen it so many times.
Right.
But the other two, although I'll admit again, I watched them on 1.5 speed.
Yeah, I considered doing sometime because while watching them on my computer, I've been doing my computer from that website that we're using because Elf had been on Hulu forever and it was there yesterday, and I'm like, I'll watch it tomorrow. And then today I'm looking up Elf and it's no longer there.
Yeah, you have to make sure you have to check things like right before the like last day of the month and to see where if they're leaving. There's a couple of websites that show you what's leaving at the end of the month every and like when things are going away on different streaming platforms.
I didn't even remember it saying anything either, but like
It
maybe
wouldn't
it did.
necessarily.
Yeah.
So I know that when I was always like doing stuff like for my channel for when I was like gonna watch movies and review them and stuff, I always was tracking that, like when is something going away. Because they don't necessarily tell you when it's going away, and sometimes they tell you it's going away and then they're contractually obligated to say that it's ending, but then they've renewed it under a new contract, so then it's like it's going away November 30th, but it's back December 1st.
Yeah. I hate that because then I'm like rushing to finish whatever series or something. Like I had more time.
Yeah, I know. And then you're like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I remember when Hulu was really young and it was completely free, and it had the queue, the watch queue that you could like rearrange things, and it had dates of when everything was going to be canceled. This was when I was in grad school, by the way. And like when contracts were ending, that's when I realized that contracts sometimes renewed, but they had to say when something was expiring. Like even though that they hadn't, like, and to me I hate that though from a user standpoint. Like I get it from a legal standpoint, but from a user standpoint it's very annoying.
Yeah. Couldn't they say that they're like you have it, this is ending here, but then put in like parentheses, but really we're gonna keep, like, couldn't they have like an additional note, like you're legally doing your obligation, but like you're also going to not screw over your users?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely get that. But fortunately I knew Elf was also on the other website that we used to watch things. So then I've been trying to do like my laptop to the TV through the duplicate or the extend screen or whatever, and but it gets buggy. I don't know whether it's the website that does it or just like the connection or something. So like things will freeze up or not play well, and then so I gave up on because it was messing up earlier with Elf and then Spirited too. So I gave up and just finished on my computer. But
I have these huge screens on my desk.
Yeah.
And I use the small screen to watch the shit because I don't care.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like even for things like I want to watch, I'm like, nah, just like over there out of the corner of my eye, that's good enough. That's like to me, like what I have a reason for that though is that it's like if it's something like really fucking good, it doesn't matter how you watch it, it will grab your attention.
You're paying attention, yeah.
And it will get you. But if it's shitty and your mind wanders, that's on them. Like I really do feel that.
That's what with Elf, I definitely was multitasking, and when it was on my computer, then I just had it in a little corner, and then as I was doing other things too, because I'm like, oh, I've seen it before, and that's fine. And then there are certain parts where I'm like, oh, I'm not doing anything now, full screen it, but it's still on like my 13-inch laptop, and because I don't hang out on my here that much, like I have the bigger, whatever this is, 32 inches or something screen, but I'm like, I'm probably gonna be doing stuff over in the living room usually. So I'm just gonna be on my laptop.
I am here, like,
yeah.
If I'm not asleep in my bed, basically this is where I'm at. And which is annoying, honestly, which is one of the reasons why, as you can see, I am in my gym clothes, like I told you. I went to the gym today.
Oh, you went out to the
Yeah,
place.
I did.
Okay.
I
Okay.
left. I left my
Wow.
home. Yeah.
How did that go?
Uh, well, so I did the thing everyone in their mid-30s does around this time of year, and I got a gym membership.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And I've decided a couple of things. I need new shoes
Mm.
because I walked on the treadmill for 20 minutes and my feet hurt. And it wasn't because I was out of shape, but because the shoes were
You're like
like
worn out.
yeah, they were like worn out, not really like working anymore for walking, which is funny because it's they're the shoes I used to walk to work before. But I need new gym shoes and I need more gym clothes because I don't have enough. Because I am gonna plan to go at least 5 days a week. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. And
Yeah.
like I have this thing though where like you know how people in December they start going January 1st, I'm gonna start, going to the gym. I'm gonna start riding every day and like all this stuff. And I'm like, instead of talking about it right now,
Just
how
do
about
it
you
now.
just do it now?
Mm-hmm.
Just do it now. Why are you waiting until January 1st? Just do it now. Like, that is
Yeah. Yeah, I've been slacking off with it too because when I was going hard with workouts, I was doing like almost every day, like an hour. But then with a new job and stuff and scheduling, like I can't do it. So I was like, at least do a half hour, and then even that, it's still like, oh, something comes up or like timing just doesn't work out though too, and I'm like, all right. But then it's like when I can, so I'm like, eventually I want to get on a schedule, but I'm like, just do it whenever you're able to.
Yeah. I was doing this thing where I was walking for 10-minute increments, just in my bedroom, just in place, just to like
Mm-hmm.
get circulation flowing and not like meld into a giant blob in the middle of the room. Uh, but like, yeah, I just like I got this deal, to get cheap gym membership, and I was like, fine, I'll
I
do it.
literally, when I had it, I think I had it through work in Chicago, and I went one day and I hated it because I hated like being out in public with like other people around though too. Like I just did not like it. And so like, no, got enough space here. I can figure out working out in one, the house outside or one of our 3 buildings. So like, yeah.
I actually like going to the gym. Not like me. I don't really like people that much. That's not why
Mhm.
I like going there. But I liked all the equipment they have.
Yeah, that's nice. So then,
Yeah.
yeah, but I manage.
Yeah. I don't
um,
have a treadmill. I don't have space for any gym equipment here in my
yeah.
condo. So it's like if I want to work out, I have to go to a gym. So like
I've
I
been
can
cheap
do.
about it.
Yeah. Like the thing is though is that when I was really into working out, like there was 6 weeks a couple of years ago where I was like in a weight loss challenge. And I did a lot of workouts at home too, because I did a lot of isometrics and yoga
Mm.
and stuff like that you can just do at home. But when I moved into this condo, I realized something. Not having carpet is kind of a detriment when you want to do yoga or
Mhm.
isometrics.
Yes, it is.
It hurts so much
Yep.
to do yoga on laminate or tile.
Yeah, no, yeah, because our place in Chicago was just wooden floors, and that was painful for
Yeah,
anything at all.
yeah.
So even walking, I had to like got slippers and stuff too, because like walking her, like I'm not used to not having any carpet anywhere though. Like I have to get some sort of padding. But hello,
So
chat.
wait,
Wanna?
we do Yankee Woo as the gym equipment or the equipment the men at the gym display in their tight shorts, Alex? Both.
Yeah.
Both.
Hi, Winky. Hi. Oh, what's he saying earlier? Oh yeah, Will Ferrell looks really old. He does look older and spirited.
He's
Bad
starting to look.
Christmas jumper. Wait, it's a Pikachu. It's a Pokemon sweater. So there's Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. And I was telling Alex too, like the lighting for some reason makes this look a lot oranger than it is, but it's not quite as orange. Alex is a gym bunny. What timeline is this? Hi, Coley. And then people are in Rumble too. I saw earlier. Your friend Paul said
Yep.
late and gay, and Mr. Lot too said super gay. Igorog. Hi, Igorog. Hello, hi, Rube. Hello. Hi, Johnny Boy Quickjaw. I'm not gay. I'm pansexual. I really love pots and pans. Potsexual. Yeah, it does look very orange. I don't know. I mean, it is slightly reddish orange because it's not as red as some of these, but whatever. I'm thinking that maybe we can do a more in-depth discussion tomorrow about it, but even though this is like an entertainment thing, but like the whole Kanye West stuff has been,
God.
I mean, I talked about it on Tuesday with his Tim Pool thing, but like apparently he was on Alex Jones and said even more
Yeah, he
Hitlery
said,
stuff.
"I like Hitler," is what he said.
Clip this now.
Yeah, and he also said the Nazis did some good things. And like I've been talking about this today with people, and I was like, I feel like whether or not you like Hitler is kind of a litmus test of how disconnected from reality you are. Like if you like a cognitive dissonance test. Do you like Hitler? No, then you're probably more sane. Do you like Hitler? Yes. You might be spiraling.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can like in I don't know, I guess I would compare it to like in separating the art from the artist thing, because like I'm okay with saying like I appreciate that like certain things came out of like that, like it would be nice if it didn't have to involve having a bunch of terrible things happen, but like at least what was it, microwaves or whatever.
Well, they did a lot of innovation, but some of it was built on slave labor.
Yeah, so it's just like, so part of it is kind of like, okay, but then like I'm not going to go around saying I like someone for it, but
yeah.
But we don't have to get into all that because we got too many topics to talk about tonight.
We do. That's our brush with Kanye.
Yeah, we can, and then we can say a lot more potentially, misguided things on Rumble only on our stream tomorrow on Rumble only, so we don't have to worry about YouTube getting mad. But hi, Wallace Williams, welcome. All right, well, let me also put in, if you guys aren't in my Discord, I have a Discord, so I'll put that in. Let's do some shameless self-promotion. Alex, talk about your channel.
Yeah, my channel, Alex of All Trades, do a lot of gaming. I started doing singles night, which is where I play a single player game on Mondays.
And she's looking to date.
Yes. Actually, I am playing Cyberpunk 2077, and my understanding is that I have 2 romance options. I have not met either of them yet. One is the gay option and one is the straight option. I wonder which one I'm going to choose. There are digital boobs that look quite realistic in that game, by the way. So singles night is turning out to be a very adult thing so far.
Nice.
Yeah, I did turn off genitals though, because I didn't want to see them.
Lame. Weak.
Well, I don't like, so many people are like, oh yeah, but porn, it's fine, and I'm so not like, no, I don't want to watch porn. No, thank you. I'm just not interested. So to me, I'm like,
oh right, that's right.
When video games and movies just suddenly put like
it's in your face.
When it's in your face, I'm like, holy shit. Okay. The thing is though, I will say this. I got quite annoyed, and you can watch it in my video. It's a very old video at this point. It's a review of Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. I talk about the fact that James Brolin, is it James Brolin? I can't actually remember his name. Maybe I'm thinking of his dad, and the son is named something else. But anyway, the guy in that movie, he's naked in a bunch of scenes, but you don't see anything. And like so many shots are like wide shots of him like laying horizontally, but his crotch is completely shadowed. And I'm like, and meanwhile, Ava Green is just tits out. Everybody look at it. And I was like, are you kidding me? Just show his cock and balls. It's not that big a deal.
Oh yeah.
Josh Brolin. Thank you.
That's the son.
That's the son. That's the guy.
I could just believe that. Like, I didn't know how old or like how old he was in showing his
Yeah.
I'll take care. But yeah, and especially like, movies in like 80s and they're all about boobs. So just any
Yeah.
chance that they get, it doesn't even have to make sense. It just some random woman in the crowd, like, yep,
If
there's
it's
tits.
rated R, they're like boobs. In
Yeah,
the
like we're
80s,
already
they're
getting
like
the
just
rated. So
yeah,
right
we're already
there.
getting the rating. See the boobs. And I don't like that actually about rated R movies now, or how movies have to be PG-13 so often, because I'm like, people do get naked. Like, I know that
Mm.
I'm contradicting myself. Like, I'm not interested, but I still think it's like
There's some like
unrealistic.
realism. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like
that
any
people are not naked in their private moments. I'm like, come on, they
especially like
are.
on TV shows, and when I was younger and watching it, it was like everyone's always still like in their bras and things after they have sex. I'm like, were you like, you kept your bra on during that the whole time? Like that just seems,
Yeah,
and then or
weird.
immediately after you put just the bra back, like bra and underwear on.
I know.
Like
I
what?
remember in Days of Future Past, Hugh Jackman, like when he goes to the past, the 70s, and he gets out of bed, and there's a woman in the bed with him, and he's not wearing underwear,
Mm,
and but they don't show anything, but he's
yeah.
clearly not wearing underwear, and apparently that was Hugh Jackman's decision. He pushed for that. He said, "I'm sorry, but there's no way that you're laying in bed with a woman that you presumably just fucked and you're wearing
Put your underwear
underwear."
back on. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, now that we're done here.
Now
And
that
like
we're
and then
done,
it
I'm
was
gonna put it back
stay.
on.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not how that works. And he's right. He's right. You would be naked. Like, you don't have to show it, but he has to at least be
Mhm.
naked.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and I don't know, I don't like, even maybe just the bottoms I'm okay, but, like, the bra, like, that always bothered me way more. That was just like, "Why?" Like, why? You're either keeping it on or you put it back on. Like, why would you choose to sleep in the bra that way? Like, and I know I think as some people, they find it I hate bras. I rarely ever
I
wear them
don't
because
like
I
it
don't need
either.
them. Um, but I don't nothing to hold up, so it doesn't matter. Uh, but yeah, so I always felt that that was pretty unrealistic, and then like, they, like, wrap the sheets around them as as they get up to do anything, like, taking the whole sheet with you
Yeah, you're going to
outside.
the bathroom with the whole sheet just dragging behind
Yeah,
you. Like, I'm sorry, no.
yeah.
But like, yeah, like I don't like bras either, but if I'm out and about, I want to be wearing a bra. I especially want to be wearing a padded bra. I'm not in by the way, it's nothing about like wanting to make my breasts look bigger or anything like that. But if they bump into anything, it's like
Mhm.
armor. It
Yeah,
protects them.
yeah, yeah. And it makes sense out in the daytime and stuff like that, but just, like, in bed, I just don't understand anyone who would choose to wear one in bed.
Have you ever fallen asleep in a bra? It's fucking miserable when
I
you
don't
wake
think
up.
so. And when I do wear, and most of them are like sports bras. They're just stretchy. I don't do like clasp things because I'm like, well, they're like padded, and then I hate them because the pads always come out in the wash, and then I'm having to like figure out which one goes where and
Oh,
how do they fit in. Yeah. So then I
I just own I own some bra balls. Those prevent any of the
oh.
padding from coming out or
I don't
anything.
do enough work toward it though, because again, I wear like I would have to if I went out, and I'm wearing a white shirt now and it's rather see-through. So if I like did go out and I would put something on underneath, but other like if I'm wearing a black shirt or something though, like I don't need it. Doesn't matter.
Well, I used to when you was like, what would I bump my breasts into?
Yeah.
The thing is, I used to be a janitor, so like, that's a
Ah,
very physical
uh-huh.
job.
And
And
then you got double Ds, I remember you mentioning before.
yeah, like no, not double D's,
Oh, just
they're
Ds.
just D's.
You
So
got 2 of them
they're
though, so it's a double
yeah,
of
yeah.
D.
I do have two breasts. That's true. But yeah, like you're like doing all this stuff and you're leaning over things and you're like reaching up high, so like against things. So there's all this like physicality involved in janitorial work, and so like
Mhm.
out of like a habit, like I found that I was more comfortable with padded bras, and now like that's what I prefer. Like I won't, because I am like, well, if I do bump into something, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, I don't wear non-padded because the only reason I need them is to, like, cover I get any poppers out though too for the so it's not about, like, holding things, it's just for some padding to, like, not have anything sticking out that might not be appropriate for where I'm going.
Sorry, I just had to put that
Alex
out
will
there.
motorboat you. I will not. You can't even super chat on YouTube, but you can on Rumble. Which
Yeah.
you can also do it on Subscribe Star. You can do tips on there. So or you can subscribe monthly. I've got Subscribe Star. And Alex well, maybe not motorboat, but maybe she'll do something. We'll see. Donate some money and we'll find out.
Well, if you donate, if I get up to $25 during the live stream, I will tell a dirty joke.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I can't guarantee that I won't tell a dirty joke by before that happens though too. Like it's hard to like innuendo or whatever. I was thinking how like I wanted to go. I texted she's an English teacher and does like drama club stuff at the high school, and I was thinking like, oh, I want to go there, like, and maybe we could do like improv or something. But I was thinking too how like I am not child appropriate in like any way, and not that like I cannot swear because like I'm used to not swearing, but like the innuendo will just fall out of my mouth. Like I will word vomit. Who knows what jokes I'll make? Or I can't remember if I talked about it on a stream before too, but when I met my friend's 5-year-old kid, I was not I mean he was just how like he didn't like the attention that his dad would talk about him to everyone else that like and just mention him. And I told him how I'm like, well, your dad never mentioned you to me at all ever. I didn't even know you existed until I saw you today.
Oh my
And there were
god.
like multiple times that I just did it with like straight face of just
Oh god.
what was the other thing? He did not something. Oh, I forget, but I know at the end when his dad was like, "Do you think Beverly's a nice person?" He just immediately was like, 177 no's.
Man.
Because I kept talking about how I might eat him.
Oh god. Jesus, no wonder.
There was context there, but
I'm
he kept saying,
usually
"I know
pretty
you're joking."
I'm usually pretty good at adapting to audience, except for the fact that I'm out of habit
Mhm, yeah.
because I'm not going into an office every day anymore. So like in the office I was pretty like staid and controlled, and then like we would go do something, you know, like social, and all of a sudden that would just fall away.
Yeah.
And it would be incredibly inappropriate, and it's dramatic. So now I'm like having a hard time. Like I'm talking to people at like in professional manner, and I'm like, I can't just start swearing like I normally do. Like I have to hold in all the fucks that want to come out of my mouth.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm professional, I have to go around town and like interview people and do newspaper reporter things now. So I'm good, but like when it comes to kids, like I just don't try because I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, so I really just don't. But the can he was drawing little things about like, oh, here's this like what would you do if this monster thing attacked though? And so like there were different monsters, and I try to like my biggest thing is I was trying to pay attention to like, oh, I was talking to his dad and then he was trying to interrupt, but then it was like, okay, when we were done, like, hey, what were you saying? Like because I don't want anyone feeling ignored. Like I felt that a lot. So so I definitely try to like give him attention like and just talk to him like he's a human. But because I treat them like less like little kids and trying to be like careful with it, I try to treat them like, oh, I would talk to someone else who's a friend. So it's just really loose. So I was saying how I'm like, oh, like what if this thing was trying to eat you? And I was like, well, I would eat it first. And then, so there's just like a lot of things like that. And then I forget, and eventually it got onto like something about like eating him though. And so I just kept joking about, and we kept saying, I know you're not serious. I know you're not, because he's got older brothers too, who I guess like mess with him. But it was just so funny. I
We
like
got a super rumble.
oh, did we?
We
Oh,
did.
Mr. Lot, of course. Hang on, how do I do this? I screen share. That's what I was doing. Okay, super rumble. What's the vibrations? What do you call what's a equivalent for super that starts with a V? Let's see. I'm gonna zoom in. Mr. Lott, thank you for the vibration. For Beverly being mean to a child. Legend. Yeah. All the time, my cousin's son, he's 9, and at Thanksgiving, he came up to me and he's just like, "Hi, Beverly," and for like he kept forgetting my name early on, like when he was younger and stuff, he would not remember my name, which was also funny because his dad, my cousin's husband, forgot that he met me. Like it took like 3 times before he remembered that he had met me already. So then the nephew or cousin's son, he's my second cousin then. So he's 9 and he's just like, so I'm like, "Oh, I'm impressed you remember my name." And then we're saying something and he said like, I think he said Happy Thanksgiving. And as he was walking away, I said like, "Happy Thanksgiving, nerd." And then just, like, his aunt, my other cousin, was sitting next to me though and just laughed. I'm like, I'm not nice to them. She's got
You're
like
getting them ready for middle school.
Yeah, no. When I worked with 7th and 8th graders, they were great to make fun of.
Well, that was the thing. I remember it was recently, there was some video of this woman at like a school board meeting saying that teenagers were like the sweetest individuals ever. And I was like, have you met teenagers?
So
have you been to teenagers? Have you been one before? Because no, they're the meanest pieces of shit in the world.
Yeah. So I'm trying to knock them down a peg before they get too big for their
Yeah.
Let's put like
John
6th
Mulaney
graders.
had a whole bit about 8th graders. You know, that's the thing I'm sensitive about.
Need to watch that. But yeah, like the 7th and 8th graders, they understood sarcasm, so they were fun to make fun of. The 6th graders did not, like, went over their head. They were less fun to hang out with. I was bored by them though, because like none of my jokes are landing. Like you're not offended by these. So it was sad. What was it? Oh, I want to say Beverly's not child appropriate at all. She can't even breastfeed. No, I'm big enough. Hi, Arnala. Judge Lot. One Christmas, I convinced my cousin's 4-year-old daughter that they were werewolves. That there were werewolves in the woods behind my parents' house. Yeah, it's so fun to be mean to kids. I don't want my own. They're too much, but I will make fun of yours. Anyway, we should probably get into the movies. Since Spirit was on the thing, we could talk about it first, even though it was the last one that I had watched, because I kind of want to go like in order. So as I had been talking about every time we mentioned that we were watching Spirited, is that I have been waiting for Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, and no matter what the writing and stuff was going to be like, I was going to love it anyway because I love those two. And that's what happened. Like I did love it. Like it was, I mean, for various reasons, but like I just love them so much. And Ryan Reynolds, he's nice to look at.
He is nice to look at. But I'm having an asthma attack.
Oh no.
Yeah. But like I didn't know it was a musical going into it.
Oh really?
They started singing, and then they go, "Oh, why are they singing and dancing? Because this is a musical." And I was like, "No."
So you weren't prepared, and that's gonna.
When I looked it up, it's the musical is by the same guy who did La La Land and The Greatest Showman, and I hated both of those.
Is it?
So I
didn't even realize it. That's why I guess the big numbers kind of reminded me. Yeah.
But the one song I did like was Good Afternoon.
Yes.
That one was funny and enjoyable to listen to.
I enjoyed all of it, but I also knew it was a musical going in, so it wasn't like shocking to me though. My one friend was texting the Ginger and said something about how like it's not fair if Ryan Reynolds can also sing, because like he looks as beautiful as he does and he's got a voice, and it's just like, and life isn't fair. But actually I want to back up real quick into before Spirited, and I wanted to also update, because I didn't tell you, I told them on Tuesday, but I haven't told you, Alex, how the baby goose Lemon Drop / Plop, he's only 3 months old, but it seems like he's been trying to mate with me, and so he's like been getting frisky, and then he was like getting like too excited and trying to step on me. But then the other day they were in the pool him, like Hope, and Plop's dad, Lemongrab. So those three were in the pool. Chewie was off to the side, and then they were both like trying to get at Hope, and then Lemongrab got out, and so Plop tried, and then he was like sideways on her at first. He was like on top, but just totally perpendicular, and then eventually got. And I don't know whether he like, because I was watching from the house and they were farther away, so I don't know exactly what all happened. But once he was done, Hope was like cleaning herself up. Then Lemongrab came back in, took his turn with her. Like, man, Hope's just getting it from everyone lately. And Chewie's just yelling from outside the pool. And I don't know whether she's like, yeah, you're doing it, or if she's mad and like saying, stop it. I can't tell, but I think Chewie's just not interested. She's a mom now, so she's not interested in this anymore. But I was just like, this is weird that it's like a father-son tag team.
Gross.
Yeah. And then real quick, an internet thing. And I'm just gonna name them now too, because they've been weird about stuff. It's Net All Over was the internet that I had, and like they were fine when I had them. But when they emailed me in October saying, hey, we're terminating your account because of new phone regulations. So then like you go over 1 terabyte, which I didn't know because there's no measurements to see how much I'm using. And so they terminated it. And then I was getting billed again the next month, and they like deducted it from my cards. And I was like, hold up, can't do this. And then the girl was just like, I'll let them know. And then, so then like I did get refunded, but then I was worried that it was going to keep happening. So I asked my card company to be like, hey, can you block them from being able to deduct anymore, because I just don't trust it. And so I think they did that, but then I got more email. I got an email from the internet that said, your new account has been created. It's just like, why do I have a new account? And then I've been getting invoices saying, here's your amount that you owe. I'm just like, what's happening? I emailed them and I didn't hear. I was like, I don't understand why I'm getting billed or have a new account. Like, you guys terminated my account. I returned my router, my modem. Like, why is this happening? And they didn't respond. So I called them today, and the girl was like, oh, like we have a new system, and it's like still trying to send stuff to like the canceled customers though too. So it's like you can ignore it and all that. I was like, okay. Like, but I was worried like if that system was still going to do the automatic payment though too. So that's why I'm like, I don't, even if it's unintentional, I don't want to have to deal with like having to get refunded with that though. But I was just like, why is this happening? Rumble. Winky's yelling at me that I'm ignoring Rumble. Okay, sorry, Winky.
Yeah, because he sent you money.
Thank you, Winky. Hang on, I have it here. Winky says, the titless tangerine. I'm so sorry I ignored that, Winky.
Yeah, aren't you glad you read that one? So I usually keep my purse in my bedroom, and I left it downstairs because I actually left my house today, and that's where my inhaler is.
Oh, okay, you could go grab it.
Yeah, so I'll be back.
All right. Wallace Williams says Ferrell v. Reynolds, a musical. I loved it. I mean, we'll get more into the discussion now too, but like Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, I love them both so much. And yeah, they like play pretty much the same thing forever, but where's my necklace? Did my necklace fall off? No, there it is. Sorry. I feel weird without my necklace. And actually Will Ferrell he was less of like, big character than you. Like Ryan Reynolds, always the same thing, but I love him so much, so I will always just watch him no matter what. My abuse. Sorry, just reading chat now. Wait, they're asking for your phone number to chat. Ooh, can you put in a Google Voice number or any sort of VoIP? Because that's what I do. I just have if it'll accept the VoIP number instead, I do that. I try not to give my actual number. She didn't even realize that Winky called me a goose fucker. I didn't. He was just trying. I mean, like his dad had Hope tried to do it with me before too. I think once they're just growing, then they get a little frisky, and then they don't know what's going on with their hormones. And so I'm there. Oh yeah. So yeah, I try to give out that. I use Google Voice for it whenever I can. Alex is back. Is she breathing again? There it is. Oh, so that's how it's done. I've never had to use one. I don't think I don't remember. I think we had to like learn or something at one point. But this is interesting to learn. So then you hold your nose to keep it in. So like, and then you breathe it out.
Making me laugh doesn't help. But so what you do is you shake it, you take the top cap off, you spray it because the first, like, it's not in there.
You need, okay.
And then you spray it in your mouth, inhale as you spray it, and then you hold your breath, and then slowly breathe out your mouth. You also are supposed to wash your mouth out with water after you use it because it's steroid.
Like that.
So it's the steroid. You don't want the steroid to just stay in your mouth. Like, it's supposed to be in your lungs.
Okay.
That part they don't usually tell most people. So most people just let it stay in their mouth. But it can, like, over time damage your, like, taste buds, I think is what it is. But and tissue. The thing is, though, is that, like, I don't have to use this that often.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've used this, like, I think this is the fourth time I've used this year. So I don't have asthma attacks very often, but I walked on a treadmill for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Apparently that's enough.
Wallace has really muscular gums with the steroid injury.
From the steroids. Yeah.
Jaws that just can crush anything. Okay, well, now that you're back. So Spirited, I knew it was going to be a musical. I knew they were like, and I loved it overall. The ending, I saw overall that it was going to go there, but we'll get into that. So I was like kind of worried though that I'm like, am I going to end up hating this movie because of the ending? But it's okay. But I had it backwards. I did think that Will Ferrell was going to be the human, like the Scrooge person that they were going to have to go to, help out. That, like, so when he was the ghost of Christmas Present, I didn't expect that at first because I thought he was gonna, like, the way he was dressed, I thought they were gonna be kind of in the past or something, and he was gonna be the guy that needed help. But I did like just like a lot of the specific bits that they had, like even having at the beginning with Rose. What's her name? Rose Byrne, with like, you're a different person now, Karen. And like,
her
named
name
her
was
Karen.
literally Karen. I thought that was really a nice touch. My favorite, there were a couple of jokes that I really did enjoy. Some of them for me, most of them for me fell kind of flat, but like a couple of them I really enjoyed. And the fact that she was Karen, they didn't hit that like really hard. So that made me laugh because it's like, obviously, like, the behavior they said she did was very Karen-ish. But then the part where Ryan Reynolds is questioning Marley about why he's chosen, and he goes, out of murderers, rapists, and people who throw gender reveal parties. And I was that one really made me laugh because I was like, yeah, fuck those people.
I don't mind, but I mean, like, I'm fine making fun of it, but I don't really care if it's like, oh, excuse to have a party or just these whatever. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of the jokes hit for me though, just because, like I was saying while you're like, Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds play like who they're gonna play. Like, I thought Will Ferrell was like more toned down, that like he was more reserved in that character overall. But like Ryan Reynolds is like, nope, you're a sarcastic asshole, and that's what you always are, and I love it. I will love it every time.
I liked him. He was the funniest one to me.
Yeah.
Because I like that kind of comedy, that sarcastic, asshole-y kind of comedy.
Well, and even when, like, so you're breaking the classic story, because, like, okay, we've seen the Christmas Carol done in a bunch of, and they redo it, and I'm sure, like, to an extent in different things, they do it this way as well. But I like their, like, it broke it so much having Ryan Reynolds, like the human character, going into like, I like that the Christmas Carol idea is they're an organization. If you guys haven't seen it yet, like they're an organization that goes around, like every year they pick someone who they need to fix and they need to like do a Christmas Carol too. And so which also reminded me like, oh, we did that in my D&D game last. I need to figure out what to do this Christmas, but they like, I was gonna have them like go along with the Scrooge character, but instead they were like, hey, we should Christmas Carol this guy because he needs it. So they ended up doing their own, like they became and like faked it all. And I thought that was so fun. I'm like, that's way better than the idea I had. So let's do that. But here, so I liked that like Ryan Reynolds as the human like affected the ghost, like, and that they really did do it. Like, oh, the ghosts are characters in this too. They're not just like the NPCs that are helping you out. Like they matter. Like their stories matter. Because Will Ferrell, the Ghost of Christmas Present, kept saying like, this isn't about me. This is like, you know, like I don't, but like, oh, but you do. Like this is a buddy film now, and I liked that. You know, Ryan Reynolds went into their world and like, and everyone's like panicking and stuff like, what do we do? Like this doesn't happen, and that they end up helping each other out.
He got laid by the ghost of Christmas Past.
Oh yeah, and I think she was in Glow. I think she was in the 80s wrestling show, Glow. I think I recognized her eyebrows and her like her face-ish, but mostly the eyebrows. But I thought she was funny though. Like I thought like her like awkward like, the whole time after they sleep together, and she just kept thinking like, oh, like he was probably looking for me. Like, oh, like did he say anything about like? So she's just being needy but acting as if he's the one who wants her. And so I thought she was fun.
I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, is the Ghost of Christmas Future Tracy Morgan?
Mm-hmm.
Because you never see him.
Yeah,
and it is Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, his voice, absolutely. Like no one else has that voice.
No.
But I thought that was great too, because it's just even Ryan Reynolds. What was his name? Briggs.
Briggs, I think so.
Yeah. So he was just like, wait, that's what he sounds like. And,
yeah.
And he was able. What's fun, like his sarcasm and stuff, like, yeah, these are the things that like we would want to say, like if we were in that place too, like, oh, I'm gonna make fun of this thing here, like, oh, even his interrupting Jacob Marley as he's like trying to do his scary song with the chains and everything, and he's just like Jacob just keeps being like, okay, yeah, like yeah, like, so I thought those bits were so fun of just kind of like like breaking the story, the classic story of it. So I really enjoy that. They're really making fun of themselves too.
I have to say that I did like the ending actually, because too often in like these like uplifting holiday kind of films, there's this idea that like, oh no, everything's gonna work out in the end, and I don't like that. Really?
I understand the going back to talking about like realistic stuff. Like I get with Christmas films. I mean, just generally, I love cheesy, happy, unrealistic endings. Like I will always love that the most. But I understand like it had a somewhat bittersweet. It was more happy. It had a somewhat bitterness to it, and that's why I was like, I'm okay with this. It wasn't as bitter as I was afraid it might be, though. Like I think it did it well.
Well, one of the things is that Marley says at the end of the when the thing happens at the end, like he says, a sacrifice without consequence is meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that is literally like a thing writers need to remember, because too often that's what happens. Someone like sacrifices and then is immediately like rewarded for it, but like and there's no repercussions from the sacrifice, and I'm like, that's not good from a writing standpoint. So when he's literally said it, I was like, yes, for fuck's sake, yes.
It just kind of felt like this is like a really like the biggest consequence that there could be for it, though. That's why I was like, couldn't there be like something this small? But so before we get into that, we'll talk about the end, but I guess kind of want to do it a little in order. Let me think what else. because then I'll have more opinions on that. I think I had just like other bits that like the good afternoon thing. Like you said, they were like, I love that. I thought the whole song. I thought and I don't even. Is that a true thing? It was that
No,
used or is that totally made up? Okay, because
they
like I
made that
figured
up.
it was made up, but I loved it too. Good afternoon.
He's like, good afternoon. And then
And
like when Will Ferrell hears some like a cabbie
the
say
cab,
it,
yeah, when
and
he's
he
human
like
later. And
freaks
just,
out, and he's like, "Oh, you want to say that to me?"
yeah,
And
yeah.
like he's so
He
angry.
like pulls him out of the taxi though.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds has to pull him off.
Yeah.
Because he could, like, it's like he made him remember that good afternoon was an insult, and he's
Yeah,
time.
yeah. And now he's triggered because he even mentioned it, and you're like, you know how that gets to be.
Yeah,
When the part where so the I know people like this is worthwhile seeing, but we're also gonna spoil stuff. I think I'm gonna talk
yeah,
about it here. So if you don't want spoilers, then don't listen to this part or these next parts. But so Will Ferrell, he's the ghost of Christmas Present. But then the thing is, like when you work here, then you get to retire eventually and then become human again and then get to live out your life that you missed. And he when he did come back. So then I accidentally spoiled this for him because I was just looking at the cast list at the beginning of it, and then it said like Will Ferrell as, and I was like, oh, he's not just Christmas Present, he is also Scrooge. Which once I
yeah,
realized that like he's the present, like okay, it wasn't the biggest twist because they did show it later on, and you can kind of like figure it out. But when he did come back to life, he played like a more straight laced character, but or not just straight man character. But then when he was alive and like figuring out his legs and stuff, he kind of turned into Buddy the Elf a bit
he
though, because like he like
did.
walked in there, it's just like, oh, I'm kind of goofy here. But and I mentioned that I said that out loud, and then immediately the costumed Buddy the Elf was right there. So like, oh, they knew, like they recognized that they were
Yeah,
doing. I think so. They were calling it out that like, hey,
would
and then he's just
and
like, or like you look stupid. Is
yeah,
that what he said?
the way Will
Yeah,
Ferrell says that to
yeah,
the Buddy the Elf guy, you look stupid. Like, and he's like, duh, duh. Like, Red's like, why are you saying that for?
yeah,
Why are
yeah.
you? And he's like, well,
Where's
he
that
does. He
coming
looks
from?
stupid.
Yeah. Um,
Oh
what are we
yeah,
saying
Winky
on
Winky
the
Brew sent
okay.
another.
Winky, I don't know if I can say this on the YouTube part, though. So it is on here. I'm showing it on there. So just say goose, grape. Actually, I said rapist earlier, so
Yeah, you
who
did.
knows what's gonna happen on YouTube? I don't know. We might get in trouble for showing it on screen. Who knows? I have no idea. Thank you, Winky, for your inappropriate comments.
I'm sure he's so happy because now you can probably call us sluts with super
Yeah.
chats.
Oh yeah. So happy. I don't care. Call me whatever you want. If you're giving me money,
Yeah, I know.
you say
I
anything to
always
me.
thought that was so weird. They're like, "Oh, we don't want you to pay money to harass someone." No, fucking
Harass
pay them.
me. You give me money. You can say anything to me.
Like if
I don't
they're
care.
gonna drop $10 to call me a cunt, let
Yeah,
them
yeah,
do
yeah.
it.
I'll just give you my information directly if you want to send it over.
Yeah.
You can call me whatever. I thought okay, so I thought when Will Ferrell, the Christmas Present's character, talked about retiring, immediately I was like, okay, Ryan Reynolds' character, before we even met him, I'm like, he's gonna have to be the one to take over for him at the end. Like that's gonna be the direction that this will go. So I already had that in mind. I did think later on that it was like, oh, Ryan Reynolds is should I just call him Ryan? Like, are we going first name basis? But his love, like the love story, it wasn't his, that wasn't part of his plot line though, and I thought that was interesting for him. Like, oh, because it's always his, like he's always the love interest for something, like, and he has to learn whatever. But Will Ferrell was the one who had it with what's her name, Octavia Spencer.
Yeah.
And then I mean, and Ryan also, like he does get it with in the end, and sleeps with Ghost of Christmas Past woman, but I just thought that was like an interesting thing to not see him as like, oh, this isn't a love story, this is a buddy comedy, Christmas comedy.
I
And
think he
he's
kind of like almost reprised basically his role as from Just Friends. I don't know
I
if
was
you've seen
thinking
that
that
one.
too. I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I thought,
It's
where, like, he kinda plays the same like, he was just like, here's this big successful asshole.
yeah.
But instead of, like, having the love interest that he's trying to get, it was, like, learning to get a friend, and but which they did, like, say too, like, when at the Christmas party, then they were, like, shit whispering him, right? They're
Yeah.
saying though, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
like, he's a friend, but, like, as much as a friend can be, like, he's, like, try talking about his personal life or your personal life and blah." So, like, they already had that little scene there, which is funny, but it was also like, oh, the point for him isn't just, like, these other things. It was like, hey, your friendship with Will Ferrell's character is what's important here, and that's what's gonna get you. Um, but, eh so I knew that he was gonna take over at the end, but so he sacrifices himself, like, when Scrooge, Will Ferrell, Christmas present, Roberto, was it Roberto C.
Roberto.
Fishman, what was the last
Pratt.
Pratt? It was Pratt. Uh,
Yeah.
that was fun.
That's a terrible name.
That's too many names.
Yeah, that. It's too many names.
Yeah, 'cause he's like, "I know it's terrible. It's too many names." Uh, but they what was he saying? Oh, yeah, so at the end, like, because he wants to become a ghost again, and because, like, Ryan's character didn't get the big show or whatever that he's supposed to have, to say, like, he changed, and he kept saying, like, "I didn't change, it's okay," and so then he tries to kill himself to become a ghost again, and Ryan, which I thought was, like, that was also a disappointing sacrifice, where it was like, Will didn't have to do that. He, like, could have just not tried to kill himself to do it, like, and so I kind of felt like the sacrifice was unnecessary, because, like, he just shouldn't have thrown himself in front of a bus. Also,
Yeah.
that bus apparently was going way, way faster than I would imagine to send someone flying into the
Yeah.
bed of a truck. Um,
Which, by the way, that's not the first time that Will Ferrell has jumped in front of a bus
Stranger Than
in.
Fiction.
Yeah. Yeah, to save the kid.
Yeah, yeah, I vaguely remember. I only remembered a bus and him there, and
Yeah.
I remember him brushing his teeth. I remember a bus. Like, I haven't seen that movie in so long. I think I only watched it once too.
Which is the point is that he's gonna be early to the bus on Wednesday, and when he is, that's when he's gonna see the kid fall in front of the path of the bus and has to jump in front of the bus to save the kid.
Okay.
And the like the way that works is that he usually always like just made the bus, so like he wouldn't have been there like in
Oh,
time
right,
in
yeah.
like normally. But yeah, like it's a weird, like a bunch of like circumstances of events that would lead to someone possibly dying, essentially, is what it is.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, well, like, in this movie too, then it had which I thought, I don't there a part, like, when it comes to suicide, and yeah, this takes a dark turn rather abruptly, when the kid, like, Ryan Reynolds' niece is, wanting to run for class president, and then and Ryan Reynolds' sister, her mom had died of cancer previously, and then the, other uncle is raising her. So then, and Ryan is a big shot, social media, whatever, business guy. So then she wants his help, and then he's like, get some dirt on the opponent, and then to screw him over, and they do, and then in the future, instead of Ryan dying, it was, hey, this kid kills himself after it wasn't even that big of a deal, but he gets canceled after, like, oh, I'm in sixth grade, and, like, I made fun of homeless people while we were serving them Christmas dinner or
he said
something.
one word, gross.
Gross. Yeah, he just said gross. And then, so I just thought,
He's
like,
like 9 when he made
around
the
11, he was
video.
like, yeah, it was sixth grade, so he would have been 11. And so it was like 2 years before that. And it's just like, I yeah, like, I'm not surprised by culture, like, wanting to cancel someone like that. That, like, I thought at least it was a commentary on, like, hey, this happened in the past. It's not that big of a deal. Like, we don't need to bring this up now. Like, that was the point that the movie was trying to make, which is like, yeah, someone said something, like, that was probably funny 10 years ago, but now it's not. It's frowned upon now, and we're gonna cancel them, and not
And
let you
it's a
host the
shit.
Oscars or whatever.
So it's a shit, like, grasping selfish move to find that dirt and like use
Mhm.
it to destroy their life, is like
Yeah.
one of the points it makes. Like, and it's like, yeah, like, and especially to a child, like, Jesus
Mhm.
Christ, like,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
and
don't
that's
know
why
that you can make it any worse than that.
and Octavia Spencer, like, she's the one who had to find it because she was the employee of Ryan Reynolds, and she's like, I feel terrible," and then she wants to quit, but then doesn't, and then later and eventually does. Yeah, I told you, it gets turned dark quickly. Um,
I like
but
they don't like literally come out and say that the kid killed himself, but it's like
no.
implied
They
heavily.
showed that you assume he's dead because there's, like, a bunch of photos and stuff as everyone like, they're doing sort of a memorial service in the rain, and, so it's yeah, it seems pretty likely that that is what happened, and then it was because of, or, like, the girl, the niece is
Like,
president.
yeah, good enough for adults to get it, but not probably for kids under like 9 to get it.
Mhm.
You know? They might not understand what's going on in that
Right,
scene.
which maybe
But
isn't too dark,
yeah,
for them.
which makes it okay for all like families to maybe watch it.
I don't know, they were still, like, swearing and inappropriate, like,
Yeah.
the sleeping together thing, like, you didn't see stuff, they just, like, a lot of it was alluding to it, so I guess, like, kids might not understand those scenes, necessarily outside of the swearing, but, I was just like, "What is the demographic here?" I'm like, "This doesn't seem to be a
Yeah.
children's movie, that's for sure."
I
Um,
do think it's kind of funny to me when everyone like goes like someone was saying, "Oh, I don't let my kids watch rated R movies or whatever," and they're teenagers, and I was like, I honestly don't remember the first time I watched an R-rated movie. I was so young.
I watched
Like,
Cube when I was 6, I don't know if that was the first one, but I just remember watching it.
I like Dirty Dancing is rated R, and I don't
Is it?
remember for
Oh.
yeah, it is,
I don't
and
think I've ever seen it.
it's kind of got a sex scene in it. And like,
Mm.
I don't remember
I
the
I
first time I
watched
watched it. It came out the year I was
Charmed.
born.
I watched all of like, when I was 8, I was watching Charmed, and they had a lot of, like so, like, they didn't show, like, super graphic, but I remember, like, Alyssa Milano's character giving a lap dance to a guy, because she was playing a shape-shifting demon, so it wasn't actually her, but it was the actress. Um, but, like, I remember that. However old it was, but yeah, like, I know I was watching it when I was 8 and whatever they had, like, early on in that year.
I
I
also don't remember watching things like Die Hard or
I didn't
like
watch those till I was older, though. I've
yeah,
never seen
I
Jingle All the
watched
Way
those young.
either.
I have. It's bad.
Okay, is it?
Yeah,
Jingle
it's not
All
good.
the Way. I need to add that to my list. I'm gonna be watching a lot. Um,
Most of it does not make sense.
Charmed. Saying Charmed, like, says for fuck's sake. So it's so I assume I'm reading it as, like, Charmed, not asking what is Charmed. It's,
More like,
in a mocking
really?
way. Yeah.
I did want like I started watching it like long after it was canceled, and I was like, I'm somewhat enjoying this. And
I
then
love especially when
and
I was
then
young.
like I was an adult, but and it was long over. And I like got to this point where I was like, I get some shows are not good enough for me to like keep going on though. Like I start getting bored with them. So what I do is I go to like Wikipedia and I just read all the
Of what happens, yeah.
show descriptions of each episode, like all of them. And then I go, yeah, I don't really want to keep watching this because like I see major plot points that I think are like really dumb
Yeah,
sounding,
especially
or
later
that
on.
like a character leaves and I'm like, I don't want to watch this after that character's gone.
It like got worse because then they brought in I forget their name, like the 2 sisters or something that were supposed to be like even more powerful than Charmed, but the Charmed ones were supposed to be like the it thing though. Like, why are you bringing in like, oh, like actually there are more special, like specialer people
The
than you, and
specialer
so you
people.
need to go like save her now because she's done so. And then it was Katie Cuoco and Kaylee Cuoco, whatever her name is, and
Kaylee Kuiko.
however it is, I don't know. I hated her character and I hated
I did not
everything
know
about
she was on it. I didn't get
Yep.
that
It's
far.
like the last season or the second to last, I forget when she like oh, the whole thing is stupid. Well, the thing I liked about the show though, it was something that, without understanding all of like the values and things, but it was something that I kept being bothered by because they had the elders and then they kept doing things of like, oh, you have to do this like this is to save the where you protect the innocent, not punish the guilty. So they were never able to like really do cool things. But then it was like for the greater good, they kept doing greater good. And that was but eventually and like they never like said it was bad, but I always felt like kind of weird about it. And eventually they had a thing about like a girl that needed to die for the greater good. And then the charmed ones were like no, like this isn't okay. And like they like went against the idea of the greater good though, like this isn't right though. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. Like they kind of argued that like, hey, like maybe greater good isn't the thing that we should be doing. And then they like stopped listening to the elders and stuff, I think,
You
from
really
that.
need to see Hot Fuzz if you haven't,
I
because
have
I
not.
want to make there's a bunch of jokes about the greater good that I wanted to
Okay, okay.
and I can't because you haven't seen it. Like one of the jokes in that movie, and it's kind of subtle, is that every time someone says the greater good, someone else repeats it.
Oh, the greater
Like
good.
so,
Yeah.
so they say like it was for the greater good, the greater good, like,
Oh,
and it
the
was like
passing.
the greater good, the greater good, like every time. It's very subtle, and if you like, you don't necessarily notice it, but at one point, like it does make you laugh because it's like the main character is picking up on it that it's and he yells at everyone to shut up when they do it.
All
It's a
right.
very good movie. Like it's one of the best Edgar Wright films.
Uh, yeah,
But
I need to.
the character that left that I or changed too much for me that I saw was Cole, and I was like,
Mhm.
no, I like
Oh, that he was the one who
Cole.
got the lap dance by
He
Phoebe.
was.
Yeah.
Once I saw that he like his character becomes like evil again or something, I was like,
Mhm.
no, I don't want to watch this
He became the
anymore.
source of all evil, and then because he was Balthazar, or what, and I forget how. Like eventually he died. I think he probably died as a good guy, though. I think he sacrificed. I don't remember specifically. So if it's any consolation, I think he might have sacrificed himself, but I can't remember. But I did really like him. I was sad that he left the show too. um, but anyway, back to Spirited. Christmas time. It's a
Yes,
Christmas time.
it's Christmas. Stop talking
I
about Charmed.
I I was wondering, I mean, like, I had to just kind of accept it because it's this is the movie, so you need to accept it, but, like, I'm like, "Why is the non-afterlife parts still a musical? Like, why were they singing?" And then, like, you could like, and then, like, was this supposed to be happening or it wasn't though? Like, because then it would, like, cut back to, like, "Oh, this is the normal thing," like, the rest of it didn't seem to happen, so I'm like, was this just, like, how the ghosts get to see things? Or they, like, get to see, like, emotionally, this is what's going on? Like, and it was never explained. I think it might have felt better if it were like called out to say like, oh, this like we're seeing it in musical form, even if it's not actually happening. I think that might have helped me because it just kept bothering me. I'm like, why are they singing
Well,
right now?
I mean,
Because
I
it
think it
wasn't.
was kind of a problem in the fact that some of the characters recognized songs were happening. Like the afterlife characters were like, why are they
Mhm.
singing? Is one of the first things that
Yeah, yeah,
happens.
yeah,
But then like Marley hates it when people sing. He's like, no, 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 no. I will give it to you if you don't
yeah. If
sing.
you just don't sing, if it catches, yeah. Like I loved every time like you hear like the ding of the music. It's like, no, we don't need to go into song right now. Like that always cracks
Marley's
me
like,
up.
no, wait, stop. Like
I
Marley doesn't like the music.
always love
Um,
that.
so like so like the fact that like the afterlife characters would call it out, and then there was like nothing of that like in other parts. Like it was like, oh, like yeah, it is sort of like, do they see things as singing
Yeah.
or what?
So if they just, like, mention that that happened, that, like, we like, the afterlife, it's not just that it's that, like, we see everything as a production. So, like, when Octavia Spencer's character is, singing as like, while she's alive on Earth, I'm like, "Why is she singing here?" That, like, that doesn't
Yeah,
make.
the view from here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there were a couple times, yeah, so, so with Ryan Reynolds' character, like, he sacrificed himself and he dies, and so then he, like, gets out of the truck and realizes he's dead, and his sister comes out and is like, "Oh, it's fine, you get to be with me forever." But then he does, like, a, "Hey, I've got a proposition here," and so then he ends up taking over as Ghost of Christmas Present, and then, so what was good about it, though, because I was like, you can't it would have been bad if they like, this is the buddy film and you never get to have them again, like, so Ryan and Will being able to still communicate and be friends, I'm like, that is what I needed to happen for me to consider it a happy ending, and it did, so that's why I was like,
Yeah.
"Cool." But I was so sad for the niece because it's like your mom died not too long ago and now your uncle's dead. And they never actually confirmed, I don't think, whether or not Ryan Reynolds was able to like when he's able to still see Will Ferrell and Octavia Spencer's characters after like and their kids. So like they have a life, and like in as the Ghost of Christmas Present, he's able to still like communicate and like and visit them and stuff whenever he wants. And then they mentioned the niece and like the like, oh, did you hear Ren, whatever her name was, like is it whatever college, and or whatever, I don't know what it was, and but like they never confirmed if he like, did they get to know that like the uncle is okay, because like that would just be really traumatic for the
Yeah,
niece though, like, and to lose two family members like that, and in a short
especially
enough
on
time.
Christmas Eve.
It yeah, holy crap, I didn't even think about it. I forgot
Yeah,
it
you
was
know,
on
literally
Christmas.
every Christmas Eve, you're
Yeah.
absolutely depressed
Although,
'cause
I
your
guess it
man
was
lost
Christmas Day. It was
yeah.
which is still not great either, like Christmas Day,
No.
like, so the any Christmas time stuff, but, like, so I and that so that still does bother me, because I just need to know, like, was he, and I assume he was, but they just didn't actually show it. They, like, didn't say, like, "Oh, I just visited, Ren, and she's over here." Like, that would have been nicer just to see, like, "Hey, she knows he's okay, like, everyone's happy." Because, like, right now, it's just up in the air, like, everyone else is happy, but this poor girl and the uncle are like, "I lost my family again, and I never will hear or see them anymore." So it's just like, that's what makes me upset by the movie, but the rest
I
of it I was
also
okay with.
really hope that Clint, that's Ryan Reynolds' character, had set up like a good life insurance and like trustee for
That's
like
what I was
in
thinking
case
too.
something happened to him,
Like, who
because
got the
he
money?
was paying for everything for that kid.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know?
And I was hoping like, oh, does all like, they're the only family member. If he didn't have a will, I assume it would go to the brother. So I'm hoping that, but then it's like, is the brother responsible enough? Like, I don't know. Like, he seemed like a good guy, but he was also like, you're like probably a pothead kind of person, right? Though. So like, I
I
just don't
would
know
think
like how responsible
I
or
would
not.
yeah, really. I would think though that like the company would have to be sold off because he was like the linchpin of that company. Like
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
no company without Clint.
And what
So
did Octavia Spencer do? What was her name? Kimberly. She
yeah, I
quit
don't know
right
what she
before
ended up.
that, but also Clint was the only one who knew she quit, so I guess she could also just be like, "Never quit, still work here, I'm taking over
Yeah.
now," like, which I'm sure he would have wanted, like, so she can run it the way she went, and maybe I'd like to, I'm just gonna imagine that that's what happened, like, she took
Yeah.
over, like, she made it a good company and stopped being all, douchey like he was, but then it's also kinda like, the disappointing thing is like, oh, at least with Scrooge, people knew he had turned things around. Like the humans knew, like even if he only lived for 3.5 weeks after the ending of A Christmas Carol, for Ryan Reynolds' character, no one will ever know, like, because it was just like the couple of them, but like the rest of the world, like, man, that guy was a dick his whole life, and then he died. But I guess like he saved someone's life. So I guess like that you get the one thing that like, oh, he did one great
we
thing and then died. But
you're like he literally died saving someone's life. That's pretty redeemable.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't know
But
like
then you also
you
don't know
get
for sure if you're like, because then you won't know, like, "Oh, did that happen?" Because then you're gonna be like, "Ah, it probably wasn't actually that way." Like, people aren't gonna believe that that's what happened, because it's like, "That guy was a dick. He never would have done that." And so, like,
yeah.
that's how it's gonna be remembered. Whether he did it or not, it's just, like, the belief that people are gonna have.
Yeah.
Um, but, yeah, I think that was pretty much everything I had about it. Overall, like, I plan on watching this every year. I'm gonna watch it again this year when it gets closer to Christmas, because, like, right now I was watching it and, like, trying to take notes of, like, "Oh, what do I wanna say?" And then Ginger kept talking during some of it too, though. So, like, I wanna watch it where I'm just, like, undisturbed.
I think
Um
it could have been shorter,
Yeah,
honestly.
I was surprised. That's why when I was watching it today and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like a 90-minute film," and it was like 2 hours and what
7 minutes.
yeah, yeah, like, why is this is 40 minutes longer than I expected it to be.
Yeah, like I felt like it needed to be like half an hour shorter. Like
Mhm.
maybe cut two of the songs.
I I'll say though, I didn't feel like it dragged on though. Like I generally don't like movies to be as long as, but like I was actually okay with the pacing and the music and stuff too though. So and which is like the opposite of how I would feel about pretty much every other movie ever. But I think it's just because I will watch Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell all day long. Like I don't, so it doesn't matter to me. But I just was, yeah, like going into it, I'm like, this is gonna take forever. Hello,
If I was going to choose
Ryambo.
between Spirited and Just Friends for Ryan Reynolds Christmas movies, I'm going to choose Just Friends. But
Oh,
one of the
really?
reasons why is
Spirited.
because I like romances better. So
Oh, yeah, I get that. It's just not really my favorite romance. If I'm going to choose a romance movie, I wouldn't choose Just Friends, even though I love Ryan Reynolds. So I would choose Spirited because I love Will Ferrell more than like the romance aspect of Just Friends. I have to think of like what romance Christmas thing I like more. I watch too many bad ones and that I love to decide right now. Um, okay, well, let's move on to A Christmas Story Christmas to try and squeeze in the rest of these. Um, I watched Christmas. Oh wait, let me make sure I have. Yeah, A Christmas Story. I went back and watched that because I hadn't seen it in so long because it just never. I'm sorry. I know it's a classic, and I know like everyone loves it. It just was never really like my favorite because here of the pacing. It was just like here's this slower pace thing that and similar to like I've mentioned how I'm not the biggest fan of it. Of where like here's one thing that happens then the next scene like it's not necessarily like a story that's building like in a big goal. It's just like kind of episodic scenes that aren't necessarily like they tie in together enough, but it's just not leading up to a bigger thing. So then that feels like it drag and if the pacing is slow in that, then it drags on for me and then I get bored. So but one thing I never realized it was set in 1940. Even with like the old cars, I
You
just like
didn't?
I never thought about it. I just thought like, oh, they have an old car, and I didn't pay attention to the other cars driving around. And so it, and then I saw that I think it was in the sequel because then I was just like wondering when it was taking place. I thought it was kind of in like a timeless thing where like, oh, they kind of have like, they don't really say when it is, but it's kind of supposed to be like seemingly old and whatever. But then at one point in the sequel, it was like, it's been like 33 years. And then and it said they were 1973. And I'm like, oh, so this is dated. This actually has a time period. And I never knew that at all.
So here's some funny things. A Christmas Story is based on a short story that
Hmm.
I have read. I read it in a class about adaptations, literally about short, like adapting, like from plays, short stories, um, like novels to movies. And that was one of the ones we studied was the short story, and so that's why the movie is like narrated, and that's why it's more
I figured. I thought it
it's
was gonna be
more
a novel, like,
no, it's
beforehand.
not. It's
Oh,
actually a very long short story.
okay.
Um,
Meaty
but
story.
it's not a novella. So it's like it's funny because a lot of short stories are actually quite long. um, because they used to write them a hell of a lot longer, like honestly. But so like it's also kind of autobiographical as well. Um,
What was Black Phone? Wasn't it, like, 30 pages or something? And I was like, "This is a short story? Why is it" I was like, I
yeah,
expected, like, 5.
that's not even as long as some short
Yeah,
stories
like, I
were.
just do not call them short stories.
I
They're like,
know.
"No, no, like, 5 pages or less is a short story to me. If you're longer than that, we need to
There's
have a
a
different name for things."
it's a word count. Like you tip over a certain number of words, you go into novella. You tip over that, the next step, and you go into novel.
Mhm.
But so the thing is though about the like A Christmas Story was not actually a classic. It didn't actually like land all that hard when it came out,
Okay,
but
well, then I
it
agree with
was
them.
it was pretty cheap though. So like it was played on TV like all the
Oh, it's
time
I feel like people are
during
nostalgic for
Christmas.
it, yeah.
Yeah, so like people just ended up liking it.
Oh, because it was just always there.
Because yeah, they watched it a lot. Um And like I think this is the third direct like sequel to the first movie.
Is
So
it? Oh, I didn't know there
it
was another
is.
one.
There's two others.
Oh. Oh,
There's
this is the third sequel. Okay.
this is the third direct sequel to the first movie. So there's three sequels to the first movie. All three of those are not connected to each other.
Oh, then it's barely a sequel.
So all three of them are sequels. They're not. It's not like it's
Oh,
not
or
a
each a sequel to it, but not
to
to
the
one
first one, a
another.
direct sequel
Yeah.
to the
Yeah, yeah,
first
I
one.
see, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So so this is the third one. I haven't seen the other two. This
Yeah.
one's not too bad because for one thing, it's the kid as an adult. It's really him.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they
They
got
had, like, everyone.
everyone but the mom's not in it because she retired from acting.
Oh, that wasn't the mom?
That's not the mom.
Oh, I thought like, "Oh, she's
That
just
woman
old," so then
in a Christmas Story Christmas, that woman is the woman from Airplane.
uh oh,
And
okay, maybe
Just
that's why she
Friends,
looked familiar
actually, the
then.
mom from Just
Was
Friends.
she?
Yeah, the be
Oh.
yourself,
That's
be
okay, that's
yourself.
I when I watched her, I was just like, "She looks different older than when I thought it was her
Yeah,
still," that I was just like, "Oh, she seems to" okay, but I guess at least it works in that, like, she's old enough that I was able to be like, yeah, I guess that's her," where I was just kind
yeah.
of like, "I don't know." Um, but, hang on, let me look up Christmas Story Christmas. Uh, Story Christmas. There we go. Um, what was that? In the original one, my one note that I'd say on it, I was wondering, were parents that upset with swearing and at that point in time? And then, but when I was watching it, I was thinking it was like in the like 80s, like when the film was made though. So I was just like, why are they upset? I'm like, oh, 1940. Okay, like maybe they were more prudish about that with children then, like, I don't know.
They definitely were. They were
So
still prudish in the 70s about kids
yeah.
swearing.
80s seem to I mean, like, if Stranger Things is accurate, then the,
Mhm.
like, 80s, they seem to, like I mean, there were a lot more boobs and everything, like, I think 70s was the tipping point, though,
Well,
too,
yeah,
because they
it
got
started
into
to
the
change in the
yeah.
70s, but like, yeah,
Mhm.
before that, they were pretty prudish about like that
Yeah.
was a there's swing periods of people protecting children from stuff, and like I would say that up until we didn't swing out of overprotecting children until the 70s, and then like in mid 70s until like the 90s there was this period of like unprotecting children. They didn't give a shit all that much. And then we're swinging back into a protection phase. Like that happens that kind of shit happens every once in a while. And I think it's a generational reaction to how they were
Mhm.
raised, you know?
Well, then and just everything like, I also remind not with children, but just reminds me of, like, Mary Tyler Moore and The Dick Van Dyke Show. Like, it was a big deal that she was wearing pants and that she wasn't like, she always wore pants, but, like, everyone else wore, dresses and stuff too, to be a woman on TV, like a housewife and stuff too, to wear pants, but, like, I never thought anything of it when I'm watching it in the 2000s and stuff, so it was just interesting how like, oh, yeah, there were certain things, especially just on TV where like, oh, this was progressive. Um, except for the Satanic Panic, yeah.
I would say that every generation is not necessarily like in a protective phase of children. Like latchkey kids was a huge thing in the 80s.
Mhm.
That's a sign of you not being very protective of children,
Yeah.
honestly. But like
How
on
many missing
and
kids'
I'm
milk boxes were there?
yeah, really. But the thing is, though, is that every generation is susceptible to mob panic.
Mhm. Yeah.
You can whip them up into a lather over anything. That's just human nature.
And not that in my comment, I was just making comment. But I like latchkey, ideas though too. I think it's just finding a balance of like, I think kids should be independent and stuff, but you also wanna like have a certain amount of safety that like you do what you can to like help them protect themselves at least too, like them
Yeah.
being able to be independent and go out and do things, but also know how to be careful and watch out for it. And I don't know, like you never know, like the world is a scary place, and watch Finding Nemo to learn that like
Yeah.
you can't protect them from everything. Um,
I know there was some mom in New York City got like, I think it was New York, like got like like being threatened with child endangerment for letting her kid like walk down the
yeah, and then it
street.
gets too
Like,
crazy in the other way.
yeah, like you could get too, you know, it's like, no, 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 no. Like, don't get so insane about overprotecting. Like, there's, it's like, it is, what I'm saying is literal underprotection. Like, no, like, oh, who
Mhm.
cares? Maybe they'll come home, maybe they won't. And then overprotection, where it's like, oh my God, how could you possibly leave your kid alone for like 2 seconds? What are you, fucking insane? That's child endangerment. Like, you know,
Right.
like
Trying to
I'm
find
being
just
very specific.
protection.
Yeah, just
Find that
in the
balance.
middle.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So we so with the sequel, so they're all grown up, and I do like that. I was wondering what they would do about the dad though before it, because I didn't know what the plot line was going to be at all. But I was just like, he was old in the first movie. Like, what are they going to do with him? And I hadn't looked him up though, but I was just like, are they going to replace him, whatever? But then they killed him off. So like the story revolved, and I thought that was a good plot line to say like, hey, like the actor's dead, and which he would have been 99 today, and
Oh my
today this
God.
not today, but like this year, had he been
Yeah,
in the
that's
movie.
pretty
So they didn't make him like as they never like talked about how old he really was though, because he was old during it, like 40 years. Yeah, he was what, 59 then, ish. What was it, 1983? Yeah,
yeah,
it's realized. How
1983.
many years ago was that? Uh 303 is like 40, right? 40ish.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he
Well,
was
I
just
mean,
already.
it's I mean, that's, what was he? He was Kolchak. That's what I remember him
Was
from.
he?
More,
Okay.
yeah, he's Kolchak. Which
Yeah.
is why his IMDb photo is him in his Kolchak suit.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. They're like, we
That
know.
makes sense. But yeah, I thought that was a good, and it kind of, I haven't seen it yet, but it reminds me of Ghostbusters. So they, the new one. I've heard
Oh,
that people really like
Afterlife.
it, but they made it about like, isn't it the daughter or something of the previous Ghostbuster, like who died in real life?
Harold Ramis.
Yeah, I was like, he has a theater at like in Chicago. I forget, is it? Yeah, it's in Second City, I think, or is that I? It's in Second City. But then I was just like, I'm blanking out on, yeah, the Ramis Theater. It's like they started film stuff there, but I was just blanking out on his name. But yeah, so since he died, then they like kind of did a movie, and they revolved around the fact that the character had died. And so I thought like, okay, like this movie, although I'll say also the name A Christmas Story Christmas reminds me of a Christmas movie, Christmas, that came out like a couple years ago, and it's a cute Christmas rom-com where they get sucked into a Christmas movie, because like, and she's all about Christmas movies, so like she was super excited about it. But it just was like, why did they name it that though? Like it just seems to me, knowing that movie, like it just seems like they like ripped it off. um but yeah, so the plot line I liked, I liked that well enough. I did like to see them all grown up. So you're bringing back like all of the characters. Even got to see all his friends and stuff too. Like they brought those actors back and everything. So I thought that was really fun. But I was not sure exactly who the audience was for this, because it follows Ralphie as an adult. So but it narrates it as if it's like for little kids still, like the way like his narration kind of just had the and like some like the jokes and like in his imagination and all that, like, oh, this is like silly kid stuff like it was in the original. So like you're following the same thing, but then it's just like children aren't going to relate to this like 40-some-year-old man as the lead character as well though. So it just seemed like it was a nostalgia factor was the biggest run thing for like people who like the movie, that and then now you're grown up and you can relate to it, but you have to have like some kiddie thing so that way your kids might be into
I
it
think
too.
it's for, yeah, I mean, I think it's for families. It's
Yeah.
for Gen Xers. who watched A Christmas Story when they were kids, taking their children to see a Christmas movie that is about one of their favorite things when they were a kid. Like, I mean, I think that like that can work if you
Yeah,
do it well. And I think they did it well enough to hit that market,
because that's
actually.
why I think that's why I thought like, okay, it was, I think, yeah, saying it's a family movie because that's why I do think they did the nostalgia factor for the adults because I'm like, well, it's so like the jokes and things were still like really kiddie though, like that. So it wasn't like too adult for it, but it was just like, oh, you can take your kids to see it too. And there are children in it, but I think for younger kids, like you're not going to care as much about like the main character being an older man, but it had enough like kid stuff that it can like having other kids in there. I'll say like even Up is about an old man and Russell though. So like you kind of have but then you have like, hey, you have kids here. So that's a little bit relatable. And then you can like have everything else. So it was just like me trying to figure out.
You know what's really confusing? You brought up the fact that they had some of the other original characters because they have Scott Schwartz and R.D. Robb, and they have Zach Ward, who was the bully, who's done a lot of things. He's probably one of the more like
Prolific actors.
actors from the original movie.
Okay.
But like the guy who plays Flick, his name is Scott Schwartz. The guy who plays Schwartz is R.D. Robb. So it's like you literally cast someone with the last name Schwartz to play someone not named Schwartz
Yeah.
when you have someone in the movie named Schwartz. Like, do you know how confusing that is?
Yeah,
I
that
just thought that was
happens.
really funny.
Because they'll have that with like first name, like someone's name will be Rachel in the movie, but then someone else named Rachel is playing a different character, and then yeah,
Yeah, but
like okay,
Schwartz is not a very common name.
I'm sure it's common enough out there.
I mean, when I think of the name Schwartz, I think of Spaceballs.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but what else was there? Oh, I was. This is supposed to be a small town. I mean, it wasn't like too tiny, but I guess like it's supposed to have a small town vibe, I guess. But I don't know, like they had the big mall and all these things too. Where it was just like I'm not sure what size it's supposed to be, but it kind of like I think it's like a big enough place, but it's supposed to have like a small town feel. But I just kept thinking, this town really sucks. You've got like bullies, the robbery from the car, like the trunk of your car, and then Scott Farkas, who like the bully from the original and becoming a cop. And later on though, like, but then he mentions how like, oh, his kids are the bullies to to Ralphie's kids. And then you don't realize it until later on, though, when he mentions it, though, too. But like those kids suck. I'm like, well, if the dad is better now, how come his kids suck? Like, why are they so terrible? Like, how much better did he get? Like, his parenting skills must not be that great for them to be that bad.
Yeah.
Um, like they,
Man, what his kids, what the main character's kids did to the bullies. I want to bring that up because it is kind of a vignette kind of built movie.
mhm.
Like I mean, a lot of Christmas movies are actually like that because they're about the craziness around the holiday times. Like I feel like Love Actually is basically that, and a
I still haven't seen
Christmas
Love Actually.
oh, it's good.
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard.
and a Christmas Vacation, which I love,
I
is a
haven't seen
lot
it in a
like that
long time,
too.
but I
Lots
have.
of
Yeah, yeah.
little things to watch. The thing is, though, about I kind of am interested in the fact that I brought up Love Actually because there was some guy came out with a video recently saying how bad it is on like not being really progressive. He said that like
Oh.
almost everyone in the movie is white, and I'm like, the movie that opens with an interracial wedding is too white for you. And then
Yeah,
he
because
also
you had probably a white person in that interracial marriage. It should have been black or Hispanic or Asian or whatever though. Like it
and
didn't
then
need to be
also
white.
it takes place in England, a place that is like more than 80% white. Like
Is it that much?
it
British
was
Bake Off
when
makes
the
me
movie was made, it was definitely more like that.
okay, because
Uh
British Bake Off makes me think that they're a lot more like I mean, well, I guess that India does have you had the whole imperialism, but so like there are a lot more Indians and Muslims and like and other people at the kind of recent
but they're
seasons. They have like a bunch
yeah,
of. They had like an Italian guy. They had like all. I'm like, is this
the
British still?
yeah. The thing is that like England kind of like its demographic changes were dramatic in recent years. But when the movie came out, which you gotta remember, this is like a 20-year-old movie now. It was mostly white. It's still probably mostly white, but not as mostly as it was back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
yeah.
then the other complaint was that like, oh, they fat shame one of the characters, and I was like, the leader of the nation threatens to kill, like offers to kill the guy who fat shamed the woman using
Oh,
the
so they punished.
SAS.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, like he literally says, like I could just call him and have him killed. It
but the
won't be
fact
that
that you
hard.
had like a mean thing said in it, even if it's called out, like you've talked about, like the building sandcastles and knocking them down thing before.
Yeah,
So, but and so it's just like, well, you can't even have a bad guy in a movie anymore, though, because they're gonna say things that you don't want to hear. Like, yeah, because
it's
they're the bad guy.
essentially. Yeah, I know. Like he's
Um,
not cast as a good person, and then
yeah,
anytime someone mentions how like she's not like svelte, there's pushback. So
yeah,
it's like, shut up. It's not fat shaming.
yeah.
Like
They're
it's such a
calling it out. So,
exactly.
but
It's
it,
just a really stupid kind of bullshit. But you should watch it. It's good. And it's a good Christmas movie. But uh like yeah, the vignette style for a holiday film, I think actually works okay. I know that one guy he died, but he did a bunch of them. He's the guy behind Mother's Day and Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve.
are these movies?
Um, yeah, these are movies.
Any of those?
Let me look him up because he's also an actor. My brain is telling me it's Gary Shandling, but I'm not sure.
I have seen Love Hard. So I've seen Die Hard and Love Hard, which is based off of the combination of Die Hard and Love Actually, but I haven't seen Love Actually.
I was close. It was Gary Marshall. Gary Marshall directed a bunch of movies like that, and they kind of came out because of um, uh, how successful Love Actually was. So he made a bunch of those, but like he also did Pretty Woman. So it's not as if he didn't have like good movies under his belt before he started shelling all those out, all those holiday films. But like I'm mostly okay with like vignette style if I'm prepped for it. If it's like clear, it's going to be more vignette style, and I think holiday movies are more set up to do so. So like I'm not necessarily like upset, like you're following maybe a family through the stress of the holidays. Like that's what a Christmas Vacation is. That's what love
But
it.
then, but Christmas Vacation it had the plot of we're going here, like we're trying to get.
No, they're not going anywhere.
Oh, which one am I thinking of when they're trying?
You're probably just thinking of
A Vacation. Oh,
a
never mind. Yeah, yeah. I don't
yeah.
think I've seen Christmas Vacation actually.
No. Christmas Vacation, they're at home the whole time.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's
Never
the
mind.
best of the vacation films, by the way.
Really? Okay.
It is.
So
Which is funny because they don't go anywhere.
it just so I think it really depends then to like when it could work if pacing's good or if each scene that there are like even the pacing within the scene, like if the scene, I guess I mentioned movie 43 where it was just like, oh, those sketches went on for too long and some of them, like, so I can understand that. But like, so I think if you're going to have these things where it's just like each scene is kind of standalone in a sense with the same family, like that could be fine. But if the pacing isn't good enough for me, then I'm going to get bored by it. And that's how I felt. I think the original Christmas Story, because the 80s movie, like pacing is just, like they were slower back then,
They were.
and they were trying to, from 1940 apparently. So it was just a lot of like even like things were just subtler and a lot of stuff like in the comedy in the 80s, like even was like Moonlighting. I was mixed up if it's Moonlighting or Moonlighters, where I'm like, oh, that should be a great comedy, and people like really loved it and thought it was late, but like some of it is just like delivered so subtly and kind of like and dryly that some of it I'm just like, is this supposed to be funny? Like, is it like, because some of it I can consider it, but and I like the show, but just like a lot of things in the 80s and 70s were just the way that like it's its pacing per scene or per entire episode or movie, it's just like dragged out more that makes me like uncertain. So that's why I think I kind of like Christmas Story Christmas more than the original, because I think the pacing worked for it even, and it kind of had a goal too, where it was just like Ralphie's trying to sell his book, like try to become a writer by the end of it. He's trying to make like this Christmas is a big deal. He wants to make it a good Christmas. And the first one, it didn't seem like the goal was like, hey, we're working toward a big, like a successful Christmas.
The thing, because the difference is that when you're following a child on Christmas, and they set this up at the beginning of A Christmas Story's Christmas, they basically flat out tell you what A Christmas Story was about. When you're a kid, your thoughts about Christmas are getting the present that you want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And when you're an adult with children, your goal for Christmas is to make a happy Christmas for your family. So like it's a little bit harder, and the stakes are, like it's a passive goal in the first one because you're a kid. Like you're a child. Your goals probably shouldn't be active all that much. But then when it comes and receiving a gift is automatically passive. You're receiving a gift. But then like as an adult who's in charge of buying the gifts and of making Christmas fun for your children, the stakes are higher. There's more of an active move as a character.
And so I think maybe that's why I like it more, because like having an active character rather than being passive, that's probably the best way to explain it for me. That was just like, oh, I care more because you care. Like again, it's the goal thing. Like whatever it is, it's just like that you care enough to be doing something rather than stuff is just happening at or to you, but you're trying to like figure things out though. So that just helps me care more. But yeah, so I did enjoy, I think, this one more. I'll say that the old man, so at the end, like their presents get stolen from the back of the trunk because he did like all the shopping and Ralphie did all the shopping. But then, and I was wondering, like, how are they going to end up? Like, they need to end up with the gifts and stuff in the end because they're going to need to have like that happy, like something like happen. So I thought it was going to be like, oh, like they found the presents or they're able to like something, or that, but the old man coming through posthumously with the gifts in the basement. Like I didn't see that coming though. Like I forgot about him. Like I'm like, oh, but that makes a lot more sense that like, it's the whole thing about him being dead and how I was kind of confused. Where like, oh, he made Christmas big. Like he was like they kept like remembering him so fondly and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, he was good at, like, he did get him the gun at the end, but I just kind of felt like the dad in the original, he was kind of like, well, he's aggressive and he's just sort of like, he's like a gruff man that I don't know, he didn't seem to like have the Christmas spirit in the same way that they kept talking about how he had it in the sequel.
I think that was kind of the point, because at one point he's struggling to write this obituary because he wants it to be perfect, and he wants it, but the thing is that he's eulogizing his dad, which means he's only seeing all the good things. And his mom is all like, when she talks to him about it, she's like, he wasn't perfect. Like that's not true. Like you can't, because he was a human being, like he wasn't perfect. So then he ends up writing essentially
the Christmas story, which I saw that coming. As soon as he was a writer at the beginning of it, like, oh, they're going to end up with him, like, oh, at the end he writes a Christmas story.
It's like based on an autobiographical
I'm like, they
story.
have to bring that around.
That's a good way to end that. Good job.
You needed to do that. I would have been disappointed if you didn't do it that way.
Yeah.
He's narrating it as a story from the beginning. Like he has to be like a writer and narrator later.
Yeah. And apparently he wrote a really bad one sci-fi novel.
Yeah, apparently. Which is just like, if they're saying it so long, then like split it instead of split it up. I was just thinking like, why can't you do like instead of 2 books, make it like 4 or something though? Like that might have been easier for people to like be willing to take in. Also, because he took off the year to write, and then so he's like, we're in that like, oh no, I'm gonna go back to work. And at the end, when he didn't publish his book and stuff, and I was like, why can't he do both? Like, why can't you're writing, so like, why can't you work and then do some writing in your off time?
Here's the part that takes a long time: writing and rewriting.
Yeah.
Here's the part that does not take as much time: looking for publishers.
Yeah.
So, like, you could do that second part while you're doing something else. Like, you
Yeah.
totally could. And he only sent it to 16. Like, I know there were less publishers back then. There are a hell of a
Mhm.
lot more publishers now. But the thing is, right, they were not as tight as they are
And
now.
before I knew that it was in 1973, I was like, "Why doesn't he, like, self-publish?"
Because that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Although people started LLC publishing companies like pretty,
Oh, yeah.
like a lot of more people like 80s and earlier, people were starting publishing companies a hell of a lot more. Like little small imprints just to have like a house for their own novels, essentially, and their friends'
Mhm.
novels. But they were never big. But at the same time, it was enough. It was enough to like survive and do your job as a writer and everything. So I don't know. I think people are too wrapped up into the rat race now to really do that shit anymore. Like, I don't know, millennials especially.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, but, yeah, so I guess it was just I don't know, because there's always like, "Hey, we've got our day jobs and we're trying," and like and someone in, doing performances and stuff too in Chicago that where it's just like, yeah, you do stuff to pay the bills and then you're also working, so it's just like, yeah, it's a and I get that having a family makes it difficult, but people do that too, like, I know, like, you so it's a lot of, like, time management and juggling things and all that, but, like so it's nice to dedicated but it's just I don't know, like when he already had that stuff written. I was like, so like you can rewrite stuff. It might take longer than you want while you're working a day job, but you can still be looking for publishers and like rewriting your
I
work
had a,
though.
I had a feeling that he basically sent them a first draft.
Yeah.
And it was just a sense that I got because of the fact that he only took a year off. The year isn't over yet, and he's already sent it to a bunch of publishers. And I'm like in December, so I'm sort of like, did you rewrite this at all?
Yeah, and you have
Like,
a typewriter. You don't have a computer, so you have to rewrite retype everything on the
yeah, I know.
typewriter.
I was like you
Which
have
I
to retype an
also
entire page of like,
yeah, to
and
fix
then
anything.
I don't know. Like it just felt like he probably didn't do like because here's the thing that being a writer is a first draft is hard if you've never done it before, but the actual hard work and is the rewrite. That's the because a lot of like the first hump is actually sitting down and getting the
Mhm.
words on the page. But if you don't rewrite, it's not going to be worth shit. I guarantee you. Like, no one writes beautiful first drafts. No one writes perfect first drafts. That doesn't like really happen. So to me, I'm sort of like, how much time did he spend on that? Like, if he, okay, see, wait, let's say he did write for 8 hours a day for 6 months, like writing a first draft. Remember, it's a very long novel, and he's
Mhm.
already started writing the second one.
Mhm. Yeah, and he's yeah.
And then he what spent 3 months on rewrites and then started sending it out to publishers. That's the sense I get, and I was like, that's not really enough
It
rewriting,
made me
especially when you're
wonder
talking about a typewriter.
yeah, I was like, was he actually a good writer? And I kept wondering, like, is he just supposed to be bad at the like, I don't know, like, I hope he's supposed
Maybe
to
he's
be
bad at
but
fiction.
yeah, maybe, maybe. Yeah, so he's just gonna have to do a lot of, yeah, autobiographical things, which works really well for, oh my gosh, what's his name? David Sedaris. I love
Yeah.
his stuff. But, he just did a bunch of essays about his life and just, like, the way he tells his life stories. But, yeah, so I don't know. Speaking of writing though, I so you do like musicals generally, right?
I like older ones though,
Okay.
usually. Because I just don't I okay, the ones that are coming out now apparently are being made by the same two people.
Oh,
And I
okay, okay.
don't like those guys,
So
apparently.
I guess I need to we'll have to talk later on like about what specifically like what you like and don't like about them because I've been wanting to write a musical, another musical I wrote when I was like 18 that we did here in town. But because just watching Spirited, I was like, yeah, you know, it was inspiring enough that I was like, I should go. And I have like multiple ideas but I want to do though. And I'm like, Alex writes, maybe she'll just write a musical. You don't have to do the music stuff, but like maybe like building a good story because then I want to
Yeah.
have because like oh you know they might, I don't like, you know, if you like classics, then maybe that you might be fine with them more too, because some of them, like the storylines are pretty simple, and then you throw a lot of music in there. But like I want to have like, here's a strong story to build, and then music on top of that though, but having like characters and stuff, and where it's
Well, you
not
don't
just like
have
filling
to.
in.
I mean, if you think about it like this, you make something that's more novella plotline style, not something like huge. Like I feel like Spirited is too big, honestly,
And then in addition to
which is
music, you're filling in. Yeah.
yeah. Like I think if it needed less to be a musical, or it needed to not be a musical to have the plot it had, because it was
Hmm.
just so much going on. Like because
Yeah.
we had a dual character arc going on, and like a lot of subplots. They literally mention the word, I want to find out if this is a storyline we should be following. Like he literally
Yeah.
says that at one
Yeah.
point, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this
So I
movie
think
is 2 hours long.
you can have like depth to a simple enough plot, but then, so I think
Yeah.
there's like a risk. So you have to be careful of like being too simple and just like being too shallow with stuff, or but
Yeah.
then you're giving too much information and like and
S-
trying to shove too much into a
Yeah.
certain.
Simplified does not mean shallow. It
Yeah.
means focused.
Yes.
It's focused. Spirited was too unfocused to my mind to be a real musical. And I felt that a lot, like with felt that way about The Greatest Showman. I thought
Mhm.
the same thing. For
I
La
love
La
the
Land,
music, but
for yes, for La La Land, I thought that I wasn't a fan of the story for one thing, and I felt like Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone were
delicious.
not doing a very good job on the musical front.
Yeah, I really loved the opening song. Whatever, I forget,
The
but
one in the
like,
traffic.
yeah, yeah, like, that was my favorite, and I thought that the song itself was just really, like, I caught it was, like, hauntingly beautiful because it you kinda it gave me, like, that longing, you know, like, I could feel it in there too of just, like, how they like, so that song, but then the rest of it was just kind of like, like, there's another song where they're, like, going out, the girls were going out to party, like, I like those 2 songs, but the rest of it, the music was kinda meh, and then the story was kind of meh, and then I was really sad about the ending because, again, I love super happy, cheesy endings, and when that was, like, too realistic, which was like, okay, like, if you want that, like, that makes sense, but I was just like, "Nope,
Yeah,
no
that was
thank you."
a yeah, that was a more of a like a drama musical, not a
Mhm, yeah.
comedy.
Yeah, so I was just kind of like, but yeah, I love the first song though, um, and
But
I
like
think it's
I
really.
one of the reasons why I didn't like it, like I think Ryan Gosling, I mean, is a good actor and everything, but their dance skills were not up to snuff in my
Yeah, I didn't
mind.
really think his singing was that great, and
Yeah,
neither Emma Stone,
like
like, Emma Stone, she's fine, but she's just it's a very light, like, she can't belt them out or anything though, so she's very soft singer, and so it's not bad, it's just kind of like, "Oh, but you're not the most impressive for."
and then there was the part like
And I love
where
Emma Stone.
she's like I like her usually, but in that movie, I also felt like she was externally acting, like to get people to pay attention to her instead of
Mm.
internalizing. So, which is why she won an Oscar because it got at people's attention, and I was like annoyed by that. I like literally watching her act, and I'm like, stop it!
So we
Like
should get
I.
too far into it, but I do wanna say too that, like, I was annoyed where she just, like, "Here's my one man or one woman show that I'm putting on for one night only, and I spent all this time doing it, and then I'm disappointed when no one, like, really shows up," and it's like, "What? You did, like, one thing for one night, and you're sad that it wasn't, like, sold out." Like, you know how much, when you're doing performances and stuff too, like, how much you have to sell yourself, how much you have, like, how many times you have to do a show, like, how many, like, in, different
You
locations,
could do a run for
different
like a
people, like,
month before
yeah,
people show up. Like,
yeah,
what are
and
you
so it's like
talking about?
that was really unrealistic to me for her to just be like, "Oh, well, now I give up." Like, they're like, "Why bother doing it when no one," and then
Yeah,
also to actually have one, like, an important person did actually show up, like, what are the chances you'd even get that?
yeah, I know.
Um,
Like, I was so yeah, I know. That was such a like barely brushing the surface of how theater works. I was like, good job, I guess. I don't know. I did not enjoy that movie at all. And I know people liked it, and I like all of my like theater friends were like, I love La La Land. And I'm like, why? Because it's a musical? Is that your only reason? Because it's not a good one. And I'm like, let's go watch a musical from 40 years ago. And I guarantee you it's going to be better than that. I don't even care what one it is. It's going to be better.
Oh my gosh, and I need to on JDA stream earlier. Someone mentioned I had never seen it before, and I still need to finish and watch part of it. Mel Brooks's "To Be or Not to Be" rap, where he's Hitler,
God.
and I was like, "This is amazing," and I need to watch the rest of it. But I was like, I love Mel Brooks so much. Watch his musicals and things. And Rumble is not working right for me, so now I see it's just starting off with a refreshed, and I see chats. The Johnny Boy says cop rock musical police procedural for the win. Yeah, but all right. So we'll talk later about music stuff though, because like I've for me, I'm like I've had like ideas for certain things, but then like I don't know specifically what direction to go with like some of the plot and character, and like what, so because I'm indecisive, so I really kind of just need someone to tell me like go with this, like do this thing here, and then like okay, because like I go back and forth. I'm like, well, so I was thinking about it earlier today, but we'll talk later.
Okay.
So at the end of Christmas Story Christmas, he gets the newspaper. He becomes like what was he? He's just going to contributing writer, I guess, for things, and he's
Yeah,
going to be
I think
syndicated and
so.
all that. But then I still wonder, like, how big is this town? Because then for me, I'm just like, I guess back then it must have been a big deal though to be like, I'm writing for the newspaper, and to be syndicated, like, to go to Chicago and stuff like that is a bigger deal. But I'm just like, yeah, it's a small town newspaper. Like I have my job now, and it just kind of I fell into it both times. Like the first time, I still don't know why they hired me. I had no experience. So in newspapers, at least, like I'd write. But hi, Zato. Um, so it was just kind of like, okay, like I guess it's a big deal. But I'm like, as one, like I enjoy it, but I was just like yeah, I don't know. I guess it's different when you don't have like the internet and you don't have everything else though too. So like writing, it was hard for me to get into that mindset already though. So
You also have to remember that like you could make money like as a writer that only printed like maybe one story every once in a while, because before the 80s, in like inflation problems like got really bad, the writer's pay was reasonable. It did not change in the 80s to match the inflation. So you could be an independent writer and like support a family. Like it was
wow.
tight, but you could do
Wow.
it.
That's why I was wondering, I'm like, how is that going to be enough for him to, but yeah, okay. Interesting. Um, I think that was all I had on that movie. Did you have anything else?
No, I thought it was like a good follow up.
Yeah,
I don't know how the other two are, but like I
me
think
neither.
it's because they don't matter. But
It kind of reminds me of Halloween now, though, too, where they have like, oh, here are all the
yeah,
sequels,
it's
but
like
like it only goes
Halloween.
to
It's just
yeah.
like three
Uh,
sequels unconnected to each other. But it was like yeah, it was okay. It was like a Christmas Story was never my favorite like growing up
yeah.
or anything. I didn't see it until I was an adult. Like I said, I read it. I read the story for an adaptation class. I can appreciate what it's doing, but I'm not a fan
Mm-mm.
like myself. So like, but I can see how this movie is actually a very good follow up. That it like really does like the flip side. Now you're like getting things from this perspective of dad in
Yeah, I
Christmas and
do
everything.
like seeing, yeah, from the other
Yeah,
side.
so
And yeah.
I feel like that's actually a like instead of trying to make it all about his kids or anything, like I think it was smart to
Mhm.
stay on Ralphie.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Because like when they do other thing, I'm gonna go to TV series of like That's So Raven did. They had the sequel where Raven's home, and so if you know the Disney Channel, the show of where she's a psychic, so they came back and she's a mom now, and so like the kid, the son. They're twins, the girl and boy, and the son is psychic, and then they're trying to keep it secret, but they at least still have Raven doing like wacky stuff too, though. Like they kind of try to keep it like they're involved. Like the kids are kind of a focus, but Raven's like sort of equally focused, I think, like, because she'll have like a B plot or something. So I like that. But then Boy Meets World had the sequel of Girl Meets World, and it was more about the daughter and the kids and less about Corey. He was kind of more the wise one, and, so, and they kind of had some the times when Corey got to do funny things. I was just like, why are we focused on your children? It should be about you and how you're like a wacky, inept dad trying like fumbling your way through life still. And that would be like, and the daughter should be like the reasonable one that's just like, hey, I have it together and I'm trying to help you out, and like you and Topanga, like daughter and Topanga and stuff. Like, no, like, and it got canceled after like 3 seasons. Like this show would have been way better if it still revolved around Corey.
Well, that's why everyone liked Boy Meets World in the first place. So
Yeah.
like, why would you? I don't know. I think like some of these
And Corey and
sequel
Sean.
follow-ups that they follow new characters. Which, by the way, that '90s show, like I just saw a trailer for it to like yesterday. So it's
I never watched any of them.
I watched that '70s show. It was popular when I was in high school. It was
Yeah.
enjoyable and everything. And now what the idea is that it's about Eric's kids. And they like move in with his grandparents. Like Eric, I didn't see Topher Grace at all. Like, but it's so like his kids move in with his parents, so Red and Kitty. So it's Red and Kitty still, and like it's like what you said, they're following the wrong people. Like a lot of comments on it that I read were like, I would much rather want to watch the '70s gang like struggling to do adult shit than watch these teenagers.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that would be way more fun.
Yeah. Well, and it's like if you're going to do a sequel, you should probably follow the same characters. And the reason why is because you're already inviting comparison to the original and bringing up all the emotional connection the audience already has to the original. And that emotional connection is dependent on the characters that you've already written in the original.
Yeah.
That's why you should stick to them, not create new characters and follow them doing the exact same thing
and just assume you're going to care
and going through the same phase of life without doing the work to make us love them. Like it's not going to happen because they're already fighting against a river at that point, because we're already connected to the old characters, and you reminded us of the old characters by bringing up the freaking original. So it's almost impossible for us to give a shit about these new characters. We're not going to, okay? And I do not know why it takes them so long to figure that out. The thing is, though, is that like a lot of comments were like, we want to watch the original '70s gang, and then the replies to those comments were, well, the guy who played Hyde is like in prison or something.
Or canceled or something maybe.
Oh no, he was on The Ranch, which was a Netflix.
Oh, that guy. Was he the brother?
Yeah, right? With Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Well, Masterson, I think is Danny Masterson. His brother was on Malcolm in the Middle. His actual brother. He was arrested for rape, I believe.
I thought I heard something about that before, but I couldn't remember if that was
Masterson.
I think.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Yeah, he was.
I stopped watching The Ranch and behind on. I only watched the first few parts.
I watched like 2 episodes. He in 2020 he was arrested and charged with 3 counts of forcible rape, which he has denied.
Okay.
He has, so his trial is not happened yet, I don't believe, or is ongoing. What is it? The August 29th trial date was subsequently rescheduled to October of this year.
How long was it rescheduled from?
They had the pretrial hearing in August 9th, 2021. The criminal trial was set to start in August 2022, was pushed back to October 2022. Yeah, a year later. That's fucking
so
insane.
Is he in prison this whole time, or is he out?
I don't know.
Crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
like, maybe he did do it or not, like, we don't know yet because they haven't had the trial, though. Coley
The
says that
jury
she heard.
remained deadlocked once deliberations resumed after
Uh,
Thanksgiving, so last week.
uh,
Consequently, a mistrial was declared on October 30th, 2022. So yesterday, a new trial is set for March 2023.
huh. Coley
Yeah.
says that she'd heard that it was influenced by Scientology, which she's not sure. Um, but I don't know. I mean, like, if he's denying it, then I'll say even if he's found guilty, I would still be like, I need to see what evidence they had first to decide whether or not, like, do I agree with this verdict or not?
Yeah.
Um, because you never know these days. We've talked about distrust for at least my
Yeah.
major distrust for justice
Well, and it's
system, and
nice
then
if
also
false rape
accusations. Yeah.
they happen. So and
Yeah.
especially against people against men who are successful. That's
And then a lot
horrible.
of women now too, like you can see them like even in a lesser extent because they'll just like talk about how like, oh, that like with their like they not necessarily maybe they won't use rape, but they'll use like something along those lines where it's just like, well, you just regret it. It was consensual and now you regret it and now you're
Oh
upset
God, I
by this.
hate
And
that.
like and so that like really muddies things too though. And it's like that isn't rape. That isn't like if you just because you don't like him anymore and you find out he's an asshole, but like you did consent to it before, like don't like try to ruin his life and you at least use
Yeah.
that as an excuse for it. Like maybe ruin his life by saying like he's a terrible person in other ways.
Just tell
Uh,
people what he did.
like
If you don't like
truth,
him, yeah, the truth.
not make
Like
stuff
oh,
up.
he lied to me about these things. That's what you
Mhm.
say.
Right.
You don't
Yeah, yeah.
fucking lie and tell everyone he committed a goddamn crime. That's an
Uh-huh.
overreaction.
Yes. Yes, you're the bad person for it. But in this case, I have no idea. Maybe he could have very well have done the things that he's accused of. I don't know anything at all about it. But I am just saying I'm open to the idea that like it could be either way. He could be innocent, he could be guilty. It's hard to tell these days what's going on.
It is like I don't know, um, but like I can't I know like a lot of films are like oh false accusations don't happen. Yes they do. Yes they do.
Yeah,
And you're a fucking
absolutely.
idiot if you say they don't.
Yeah. There are definitely idiots out there. Bless you. Do
Thank you.
we have time to squeeze in Elf real quick? I don't think I have a
Yeah.
ton. They're just like quick comments
It's
of
almost 20 years old now.
I know, yeah, yeah. So I forgot that it was a Jon Favreau film because I remembered him as the
Yep.
doctor, but I forgot like, oh, he done I saw in the
And they're
credits it was
directed by John Favreau.
yeah, and it's like, wait, what? Last year I did Elf the musical. I did the piano or one of the piano parts for that. So that was fun and just like rewatching it too and seeing like, I remember these lines. I remember even offering when I was talking to the guy who played Buddy too. I forget I was suggesting something to him but just like delivering lines when he's like mad at fake Santa though and just like suggested like I forget how like however you phrased it to like make it funnier like a bigger thing though which worked. He got bigger laughs on the things I suggested, so I was like glad he listened to me, which reminds me totally up like related to suggestions. At Second City, we used to do holiday shows where we would take the sketches that they would do on stage, and then the night staff we would do parodies of it. So we would like map over what they did, but like relate it to working on the night staff, like working and with we as servers and bartenders and everyone else and stuff like day staff too. So we'd have like behind the scenes people. Um, and there was one scene that they did, I forget like what it was. They were at some sort of like meeting and they had like weird characters as they're like talking about their lives. And one girl just like always cried everything she said. So you couldn't really or who was it? Let me think. In the real one, she was speaking a foreign language. And so like you couldn't really understand. She's talking about like she went hiking in the woods. It was Tien Tran from How I Met Your Father. It was her character. So she's speaking whatever I forget what she is, the Asian, whatever Asian language. But then you could just hear about how like she's like going hiking in the woods and they get lost or something, and then like her friend Jessica, and so she ends up like killing Jessica to eat her because she needs to survive. She's like, sorry, Jessica, and then so it's like this silly thing. And then it translated when we were doing stuff as like the night staff, and the one girl, she was upset as a server, and so she's crying, and so like we were writing our own parts for the things, and she had too many lines about like as she's just like talking about what it was, and it wasn't very funny how she did it. Like the concept could be, but she had too many words, and I kept wanting to like, you're not supposed to really like talk to other people and like suggest things though, and I kept wanting to like tell her like, hey, like you need to like edit some of this. And eventually, I don't know why, but she came to me to ask for help, and I was like, "Yes, absolutely." So I just, like, crossed out, like, most of the words of her lines, though, and just left out, like, a few in between. I'm like, "The rest of it, just sob." So then she was just, like, crying upset, and then you could hear, like, all the different thing about, like, turning what a human meat into burger or whatever it was that the scene ended up being. But I was just, like, super excited when she's like, for whatever reason, out of, like, the 50 people that were here, like, she asked me to, like, help her out, though. I'm like, so glad you asked. Um, but I don't know, that just reminded me of it for the musical thing. I love the Bigfoot part in Elf where like they're like, there was a sighting of a large man in an elf costume. And so like he just had like the video clip and he's walking and it freeze frames, but it's the same thing as when you see like the old Bigfoot picture. And so I just always thought that was funny to see, like, yeah, because he's such a tall, gangly person, and they're like, oh, I can see him like deep in the forest here. And I think my biggest qualm is the whole thing of like the Christmas spirit is about believing, not seeing. When when the Michael is like, why don't you just go and show everyone and see that Santa's real, and then you'll charge up. And Santa's like, well, like if they see it, like you can't believe it. Like, and the whole thing was more about like faith, but it's just like, but why can't they see it? Like Michael has a good point. Like why is it blind faith that gives you the power though? Like why isn't it,
Yeah.
if it's just like actually believing in you? Having evidence really helps a lot of people believe in things though. Like those who are skeptical of things, like and no offense, but like I understand if you're religious, that's pretty much what but like for those of us who aren't and we need the evidence to believe in it, they're like, I'll be open to ideas
Religious
and
people
things.
don't believe in Santa even.
Yeah, that too. So it's just like, give us something. And then they, at least in that there, like they did get to see a sighting of him, so that helped. But like just I always forget, like whenever that line comes up about it though, I'm like, why can't, and any kind of Christmas Santa movie or something, like, well, they can't show who it is. They just need to believe. Why?
I think my favorite joke in the whole movie, because I did rewatch it this time, is the part where Buddy the Elf is walking around in the forest and they catch it on the news, and it's literally
That's what I just said, Alex.
I know, but you didn't say this. It's the Bigfoot pose.
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yeah, I'm not listening. I
I'm
literally
sorry.
said that. I even did the pose too.
I got distracted by chat.
Yeah, the whole point, that was like one of my favorites, was that like, yeah, they have it where it's just like the same image that you see whenever you have like the Bigfoot thing.
No, I'm embarrassed.
You seemed distracted at that time though. It was noticeable. Yeah, see, in case she just said that.
Yeah, they're pointing it out. Yeah.
Oh, we got another Winky inappropriate comment.
Isn't that inappropriate?
I don't know. I didn't read it. Oh yeah, it is, because it says Hong Kong grape time, and well, I don't know why he's adding the G in there. Thank you, Winky, for grape time. I do love grapes. It's all the steroids in your mouth from the from the inhaler. They're affecting you.
I know. I have to say, when I was on prednisone every once in a while as a teenager, I was like, man, let's go do some shit. I never had as much energy as I did when I was on prednisone. Even like as a teenager, you're supposed to have more energy, but like nothing beats being on steroids.
Can we clip that too? Nothing beats being on steroids.
Clip it. Like you talk about stimulants, like for like, oh, coffee and cocaine. No, give me the steroids, please. That's what I want.
County by Alex Busy Auckland, Beverly, and we keep pregnant zone. It's probably a genuine question too. But I really like I like pregnant sound. I don't even know how to spell. How do you spell the actual prednisone?
Prednisone
Preg,
is Predezone, I think.
yeah, something like that. Let's see. And
Prednisone.
Prednisone. Prednisone. Um, yeah. It's medication stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Uh,
steroid, but you're not usually taking a lot of it. But like people with asthma, like Jesus, and like especially like really bad asthma. Not like my asthma is not that bad, but people with really bad asthma like usually take it like all the time because steroids are really the only thing that help with asthma. By the way, like not
mm,
a lot does anything else. But like they can some people with really bad asthma are on prednisone all the time.
yeah.
I was only ever on it when I was sick, like as a way of like opening my lungs while I was uh, when I had bronchitis. But like if you're on it all the time, though, it makes your face like puff up. And I was never on it often enough for that to happen. So like I'm kind of like overselling it and being kind of silly about it, but yeah, like I took it like maybe 10 times during my teenage years.
I shouldn't take it then. My face is round enough. I don't need it to be puffed out more. Um, you had brontosaurus. I'm not quite. Sometimes I feel like not intentionally like ignoring comments. So when I'm just like clicking and reading random ones, but did bring up in the Discord in our internal unsafe space Discord making fun of Carter. I don't know if you saw it though, because like Carter had a dangerous thoughts. I was like watching through that, which because I didn't know, like, is he done now with it?
He's only like doing
Just occasional
like
when he has
doing
articles.
the yeah, doing the
Okay.
article essentially.
So then I just thought it was funny when because like on StreamYard, it doesn't pick up like when you're a YouTube membership and it gives like a comment on there, it'll pop up green, but it doesn't show up on StreamYard. So then, and Carter was reading his buyers and sellers thing that used my name and my peanut butter bucket image. But then so then like G-Man had said something about how like this seems like less about like capitalism or whatever, like, and more like, an attack on Beverly. Like, what did Beverly do this time was what the message YouTube said. But because Carter didn't see it on StreamYard, he read the one right before it and right after it. So it looked like he intentionally ignored what G-Man said about me and just was like, oh, this seems like a drama alert that he's just like not going to say anything about her. So like
Well,
G-Man never knew.
did you see the thing about the Rebel Civics with where the
I saw Juliet mention that
yeah
chat was just
the hot girls thing?
yeah, up on screen during all end credits.
Yeah,
So funny.
that killed me. I like on book club on Sunday, we got another one of those bots,
Oh yeah.
and like someone like one of the three, but it wasn't me, was trying to get rid of it, but put it up on screen first. And I laughed. Like I wasn't talking when it happened, so I just laughed, and then I like removed it because I was like, it doesn't need to be there.
They're just gonna block you and everywhere on screen. Like, huh.
I
Okay.
was like they were trying to block it, but they moved it on screen first, and I was
So
like,
funny.
no.
Which has happened to me too when I'm like, it's so easy to like bump it and like put stuff on screen. So especially because StreamYard, it'll like move the chat up when you're like going to click and it'll move. So I always have to like, I'll scroll up slightly and then so it
Yeah.
doesn't do it. And especially when I wasn't the one, like if I'm on screen, like I don't care if I screw up, whatever. But then when it was just like other people are on screen and I'm like, I'm trying to help, like, be more professional about this and not mess it up though. So that was always, but now I'm just like, oh, whoops, I put up porn on here. My bad. Whatever.
Well, it says for my live streams because it's gaming and I have the chat just show up on the like video essentially. I so it's not StreamYard, it's not involved.
All
So
right.
that's like a direct browser grab. So like I literally have chat like up on my phone, and when I see it and I go, ah, 6 bucks. Like
Yeah.
it does
Okay.
disappear from the browser version on screen after I remove it, but
Uh,
it's up there in the chat, like captured on video. Like so for maybe like 10 seconds or something, it's going to be in the video
right. Yeah.
forever.
Well, then I think it's yeah, it's whatever. It'd be silly. So then if it's something that I'm like, oh, that's funny. Okay,
Mm.
it can be. It's fine.
The
Like
sex bots don't like bother me that much. Like I'm
yeah,
like, they're just
we didn't even get any tonight.
no. Where'd you
Right?
guys go? Do I have to start mentioning vaginas and
Winky
penises?
says that I have an OnlyFans if they want to see my peanut bucket, peanut butter. That's what Carter was like, "Oh, a peanut butter bucket reminds me, it seems like a bucket full of peanut butter." And I commented because I watched it after the live stream, so I commented, I'm like, "Well, like a peanut butter cup, you don't think of a cup full of peanut butter because you know the term already." So it's just like, yeah,
Yeah,
of course you're gonna think it's a bucket full of peanut, but like it's not crazy though. It's comparing it to a cup. It's just bigger than
yeah,
that. And I'm like, and he was saying I called it that. I'm like, that's what the store called it. It's not my
yeah.
idea. That's what they did because it was a huge peanut butter cup. So it was, when I got it, I was like, it's
I
bigger
think
than a
it's
bucket, but smaller than like a tub.
when he talks about things he's talked to you about like earlier, he always like half says what you said, or like
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Heard of it like
like it's
in
not
missing
one hundred
context.
percent what you said. It's like a game of telephone.
Yeah.
He misquotes.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
my
yeah.
point.
Which is why with the newspaper stuff, like I record everything anytime I talk to people. So then I'm like re-listening to things and typing it out. Like sometimes like I'll adjust because you take out the ums and thing. And I feel kind of bad though, because I'm like, I'm not trying to like make Biden look good sort of thing. But it's just like you don't want to read a quote that's like, and he she did like yeah, sometimes like you need it just to keep it concise. So then
Oh
but
god, that reminds me. I listened to someone leave a phone message recently, and he said so many times.
yeah. And
I
sometimes
was
I do it too, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm saying right now.
I mean, I edit footage of myself all the time, and I'm like, God, I say too many times. When I first started playing video games for the channel, I kept saying there we go, and I started
Here we go.
recognizing that I was saying it, and so like as I said it, but I would still fly out of my fucking mouth, and then I would get mad like while recording, and I would be like, because I'm not mad at anyone but myself. I'm like, why do I keep doing that? So then, but I'm not doing it anymore. Like I apparently got so mad at myself
You
that I
just stop.
managed to stop. But it was there we go. Like every time something I managed to get something done. There we go. And I was like, Jesus
Ah.
fucking Christ, stop it out. Stop.
Got a catchphrase though. Do I have a catchphrase? I need to
Oh
make a
no.
catchphrase. Oh, I did like
It,
in Spirited where Tracy Morgan's the Ghost of Christmas Future wanted to try out different like catchphrases, and the
oh
one
yeah,
they
yeah.
want to do is, what was it? You just got Christmas Carol, bitch.
Yeah.
He actually gets to say it to Ryan Reynolds at the end.
Yeah.
Christmas Carol, bitch.
I love how he got mad at Ryan Reynolds. He got
Yeah, it's like
so mad that he was able to talk, and he's like,
uh-huh.
you made my best friend quit his job."
Yeah, you ruined everything. Like, now I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, he literally did. He like picked him up and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Bane smashed him. It was
Uh-huh.
impressive.
That was so hilarious, and that he was so sad about it. It was like, "Oh, it was your best friend, and you didn't even get to say goodbye, really." So I hope they get to
Yeah,
keep in contact. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so there were a lot of fun moments there. Um, for Elf, I don't think I had anything else. We both agree on the Bigfoot thing, though.
Yeah, we do.
Um,
We do.
and then there were a lot of other parts too, like, the whole thing. Like, I love Will Ferrell, and that was a very Will Ferrell movie.
It was.
So it was,
I will say this, that I recognize something that I didn't recognize all the other times that I watched it, is that when the dad is like all upset after like Buddy has gotten in the fight with Peter Dinklage, And like he's sitting in his office and he's upset, and the two writers come in and they say, "Look what we found! We found his Miles's notebook of ideas in the conference room. He left it behind. He's got a bunch of brilliant ideas in here. We should do his first one." And it's all like,
It's the peach.
can you do that?
Yeah. That can you just like steal his ideas that he?
I know they paid him for a consultation. They did give him that money, but that doesn't mean necessarily that they can just take any idea from that book.
Who knows what he's already done with those ideas too? Like, like maybe he's already like copyrighted things or something. Yeah,
exactly.
So. Although like with the peach on a farm, whatever it was, I'm like, that was a very similar idea to their tomato thing. So
yeah, I know, you can't get much more vulnerable than that. Yeah. And I did like who the two writers were, because it was
Andy.
Yeah, it was Andy, and it was
what's his last name?
It's the Tenacious D guy.
I can't think of either names now, but
yeah, we do not know their names. Let's see.
I'm impressed with myself for knowing the names that I do, like when we're using actor names and stuff. Like I'm impressed with myself because I never know anyone. Ryan Reynolds, though. Will Ferrell, got theirs.
Well, yeah.
I only knew Rose Byrne's name from looking it up earlier, though, too. Like
I knew that was Rose Byrne.
I knew who she was. I just wouldn't remember her name ever. I
did know her name.
I know her from like things I've seen her in, but it was just she's
Andy Richter.
Because I was going to say Andy Dick.
Kyle
like,
Gass.
That one. Okay. I'm not as familiar with that. Yeah, no, not Jack Black. It's the other one.
Yeah, not Jack Black. Kyle Gass, his Tenacious D partner. Who, by the way, went to Juilliard for guitar.
Really? Oh.
Yes.
Nice. There I go saying now. I know I'm going to do in between. Hopefully I don't say it too much while saying sentence. It's like in between where I'm trying to figure out what's the next sentence or like topic that I needed to say. Then I'll put like in there. Is usually what happens. Just fill in like silence, which I know like when you're giving speeches, you learn that just have the silence, don't do anything. But because I do everything more I prefer to be as informal. I'm so casual. Like when I meet people, I prefer to just already kind of behave like we're friends. And like sometimes I skip like introductions though too. Like it's just easier. Like the formalities at the beginning. I'm like, that's more awkward. I'd rather just act like we already know each other. So we skip all the awkwardness. And maybe that's why I end up having people who just open up to me about their personal lives so much.
No, she gets me.
Yeah. Because I'm already telling them about my whole life stories.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna be quiet.
Well, all right. I think we did hit everything. Next week, I don't know. What are we trying? I can't remember. When the horror stuff I don't know when what's a Violent Night. I don't remember when it comes out. Violent Night. We can't watch it if it's not out yet. So Violent Night.
Yeah, that's true.
December 2nd. So it's supposed to come out tomorrow. So we could do horror for next week. Bless you. I think Johnny Boy had mentioned Black Christmas, which I have seen in the past. But we had something else too. I forget what. So we have Violent Night. Krampus was one as well. There's a bunch of Christmas horror movies. So, but I like Violent Night, Krampus. I already know I'll talk about Black Christmas. Is that I don't. It's the first serial killer movie, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. So I could save it for another time. That we just or squeeze it in at the end.
Damn. I'm looking up Violent Night, and this Rolling Stone review, Violent Night is the chlamydia of Christmas movies. Jesus Christ, man. That's a bit rough.
Chlamydia. What? Well,
I don't think they like the movie.
Yeah, unless they really like chlamydia. I don't know. So, yeah, we'll do Violent Night. I like Krampus, and then I guess we could do that for next week. Then, we can stick to two if you want to do a third one. We can, or we just do two of them. But we go for long. time zone than topics anyway. So I'm fine with just doing 2. Putting the whore back in whore.
Man, I wish they would.
Yeah. You know what? They don't have enough whores and sluts and anything anymore. Where
Like
are
I
all the?
said,
They got rid of all
70s
the
and
boobs.
yeah, 70s and 80s horror movies, tits everywhere. Now, no,
Tits
no.
galore. Tits everywhere.
Tits,
You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a tit.
nope, not anymore. No, now they're like, no boobs. It's like, why? It's already rated R.
If you watch A Christmas Carol and stop after the Ghost of Christmas Future, it's like a horror dark story. Dark horror story. Yeah. And it's always the most terrifying one, except when it's played by Tracy Morgan.
Yes, I actually saw the Muppet Christmas Story, Christmas Carol for the first time last year. I'd never seen it.
I don't think I've seen the whole. I think I've just seen part of it. But
Michael Caine does a really good job in
yeah,
that movie.
okay,
Yeah. And someone was making a joke about it a while back, saying that like Michael Caine like didn't realize that it was a Muppet movie. So like he was, and then they were joking because that's how he performs it.
Yeah,
He performs it like it's a serious A Christmas Carol. Yeah, he does, and I mean he does a really good job. So like he's like, I don't have to do the work the Muppets are doing, and that's what you like. That's what you should do. Like if you're doing something absurdist like that, you don't have to do that work. They're doing that work,
and so and that's what makes it better is when you're playing it legitimately. Straight. And then yeah. That's why I even as stupid as the movie Cats was, I really liked. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what's the old famous guy's name. Ian
McKellen?
McKellen, right? Yeah, is that the right person who was in the movie?
I have no idea.
I mix up old British men. So whoever like the big famous one was in it, he played a cat and one of the cats, and he's talking, whatever he did was serious. He had like a serious monologue as he's like walking away dramatically, but then pauses by like a doorway and just like rubs his face on the door. And he just does it so seriously though, and then continues on. But I'm like, that it was so hilarious because of just how genuinely he played it.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I want to say that I really liked the fact that Judi Dench was in Spirited. Judi Dench is a bit of a cameo queen. She really likes doing cameos.
Oh yeah.
She's in Spirited in the like old timey part, and it's really funny because Ryan Reynolds goes, "Is that Judi Dench?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then they both like finally like, yeah, like, oh, I loved her. And yeah. So
there was so good. Yeah.
And what happened? There was the thing right after that too, that they just had this like weird bonding moment, and then even the ginger was just like, what? like why did this part happen here? It was just so obscure. And then like back into the song.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Oh, with there's a baby there. Oh I'm sorry.
Like, and also, ma'am, good afternoon.
Now, when I say good afternoon to people, that's probably what I'm going to be thinking.
Right? Yeah, and that's what I'm going to mean. Because I never
say good afternoon.
Anyway.
Good writing emails.
Good afternoon.
Like calling customer service. Good afternoon.
Just gritted teeth. Okay, well, so tomorrow I think we're planning on the occasional levity. Tomorrow's Friday, right? Yeah. 10:30 Eastern. Juliet, if she's feeling better, I don't know. I haven't heard an update on her health. So we'll plan on that tomorrow. Need to figure out new things. But it'll be 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern at night, p.m.
8:30 my time.
8:30 Alex's time. And then Alex has different streaming stuff on her channel. Let me find the link again.
Yep, I finished The Evil Within, not last week, but the week before that. So now I'm on The Evil Within 2 for Fright Fridays. It's a lot cleaner of a game.
Really?
Yeah, it is. But it plays a hell of a lot more like Resident Evil than the first one did. I thought that was really weird. But Yeah. The first one felt a hell of a lot more like Alan Wake.
Oh.
Yeah. It's very strange. Like, I don't know. But I don't know what's happening. Like The Evil Within is like such a weird game. Like not everything doesn't make sense. And when you question it, it's like, stop questioning it. It doesn't make sense. Just get over it. I still don't get it. Like, I don't like it did feel like when I finished The Evil Within, I was like, I wanted answers. I got no answers.
Yeah, and yeah, so Friday nights are still the
Still Fridays.
Fridays. Yeah, those ones I haven't been watching like any, especially and then videos people send for me to watch too. I'm so bad at it. Like I watch parts of it. I'm like, let me get if it's more than 5 minutes, this is just tough for me because then when I'm watching other things, it might end up being stuff for these streams. So or I'm live stream. Like it's hard enough for me to do like my own live streams and then or get on other people's and then so I try to like pop into things when I can, but it's tough. Yeah, so got Alex's on here. Put that up on youtube.com/c/Alex of all trades -Maselli. I have Discord. That's free if you're not in it. I think hopefully that link still works. I think I did it forever, but I just have it saved on a sticky notes thing, so should be good.
It's kind of hard to like work that. I found like when I was like, oh, I need to share that again, like months after the fact. Where is that? And it's like create a link, and I was like, no, give me the old one, the one I already had.
Yeah, and so then it's the same, and then you can make it last forever. But then I just it's
to support me.
I'm the most important thing ever. So
yeah.
Yeah, subscribe, star, which I have a few, and I really appreciate it. Those of you who I won't out you. I mean, I will if you want, but I do
you
really
put a thing
appreciate.
like, oh, do you want to be part of a
Yeah, that's what I think.
or...
Once I actually do end credits, then I can. So I need to message you guys who have supported, but I know who you are, and I've thanked you personally. And I will find you.
You said it's so creepy.
I'm aware.
I guess you're getting ready for horror Christmas here.
Yeah. I'm always ready for horror Christmas. I know you are.
Do you have a horror-themed ugly Christmas sweater?
No, I should, but I do just have other Christmas sweaters. I don't know if I call them ugly. I think this is adorable. But the other ones are, I've got 3 other things, I think. So I don't know if I have to save them for Thursdays or I'm going to have to recycle or wear some dresses that are sort of Christmas to do Thursday and Friday.
I don't have an ugly Christmas sweater at all, but I had done something. Oh yeah, here I found it. I'll share it. This was this website like showed it to me and I was like, I like considered it for a bit. Where is it? Discord. There we go. And stream. So like it's this thing where you can make a ugly Christmas sweater with your animals on it. And so like I did Willie and Missy and
how do they do the cats?
They just have like a bunch of different general cat things.
Okay, so you can kind of choose color
eyes.
Yeah,
and you can change their eyes, like the color of their eyes and the shape of their eyes. So, and then you can decide what you want on them and everything. And like the funny thing is that I shared this with people in my Discord, and they said, "Why does Lily look angry?"
Yeah.
And I was like, because she is. She's an angry little bitch. Like, but don't let Missy's like big sweet eyes fool you. That animal is a monster.
No, she's got like the crazy eyes going, like she's ready.
She's like running around right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I was like, I'm like kind of considering it, and then I went, it's $60. I don't think like it's cute, but is it $60 cute? I don't think
60.
so.
Oof, yeah. Oh, actually, I did order fabric a kind of Christmas themed fabric that I was going to try and make another dress out of because I hand sewed one dress a few years ago, and then I just adjusted the sleeves. But so I might do it again. Like you can see, like the stitching is different. It's hand sewn, but I prefer it. I like to just sit and like watch TV and sew it though. Like I like if it's soothing, so I want to do more.
I
So
can
maybe I'll
sew,
make
but
it.
I hate doing it because I don't know. It's something about my eyes that like starts giving me a headache like really fast.
Yeah, I do like oh, it's not fast, but like I just do it when I can, and then eventually, when I have the time to sit and sew. Johnny boy, only Beverly could turn a beautiful statement of gratitude into a dark, ominous threat. Thank you.
Yeah.
I am very good at it. What was it?
You are.
I know
You can flip anything to the creepy side real fast.
Yeah.
It's one of your talents.
Put that on the resume. Yeah. Because then the
I can make
innuendo
any
or doing
conversation creepy.
yeah. Really good at just like making any conversation I'm in very uncomfortable for people. Yeah, and I still have your creepy love letter that I made somewhere around here, I think. I don't know where it is right now. It
You
must be
do
over on the
have my
table.
address.
I do, yeah. When I sent you those cookies and I said, because I always said, when you did give me your address, I said, I will try not to send anything too creepy. Something.
It's funny when very, very few people in like connected through my like YouTube life have my address. So you're like one of the few people that I have trusted with that.
And that is your flaw then.
Yeah.
To have done that.
Well, I will be sure that if I move, I will not tell you the address. I might not even tell you that I've moved.
They moved? Yeah, no. That's true, because I can't see your background now when you have it the digital stuff up, but I'll know. I'll still know.
You'll know when I start talking about weird things like palm trees.
Yeah, like, that's not so. I've just been tracking
there are palm
your phone.
trees here in Arizona, by the way.
Why would you give me your address? What I'm saying, people for some reason trust me. It's a bad idea, but
this.
That's talking out. Like they're just making sure you're okay really often. Yeah. I keep sending her all these postcards and oh, that'd be fun to do some sort of creep. Oh, I just found. I wish maybe I'll bring them in tomorrow. So for first Valentine's Day for the ginger, I think I've mentioned it before, and I found like I saved them and I had them in a big manila envelope, and but I just took stalker pictures of him because we worked together at Family Video, and I just took pictures of him and printed them out and then like put them in like heart shapes and like drew. I wrote like I'm always watching you in like the corners of like different creepy things, probably stuff that might look like it's written in blood or something. I forget what they were, but there were like a bunch of creepy photos that I gave to him for Valentine's Day.
Oh my God.
It's just like really stalkery. So that was fun. I used to be a lot weirder.
I do have your address actually, because you put your return address on the cookies. So
yeah.
I could start sending you things.
Yes. I think
maybe I'll send you Missy.
I put my actual address too. I didn't put the P.O. box, right? Because I think I remember I was like I was like, nah, I trust her. Like she gave me her home address. I'm just gonna put mine on there. So
I don't have a P.O. box.
Yeah.
I am considering like maybe getting one when I get to like 2,000 subscribers or something, like just so that if someone wants to send me something, like they can.
Yeah, I got it just in case with stuff. G-Man has sent me coffee beans a couple of times though, and I had not that I don't trust G-Man, but I was just seeing like, oh, it's nice to have, and it's easy to find. I'll just say now because I mentioned it before. It's easy to find me. I live in a small area, like a small town area. The P.O. box is like up the road from me. It's not like hard to find.
I'm pretty sure if I went to where the P.O. box was and said, hey, do you know Beverly? Like someone might go, oh yeah, she lives out at blah, 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 blah.
Absolutely.
And I can get to your house.
They gave my dad a package because he needed, like he has a key to the P.O. box. And so, but they never gave like a paper or something. And I asked him if he could get it. I didn't know if he was just like, and gave my name and they're like, oh yeah, this package here. And they just gave it to him. Like they didn't require like any evidence, like proof of anything at all. I was like, oh yeah, you went this package, you knew her name, so you must.
So here you go.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I haven't
When I
had
went, by the way,
issues.
when I went to the gym, this was the first time I went to this gym, and it was set up, and it was set up through my insurance and everything, and they were like, the insurance said bring a photo ID, and then we get there and like we're filling out all this stuff, and I'm like telling them what it says, and they never ask for ID.
Yeah.
I'm like ever. And I remember I'm in Phoenix though. So like usually you would think people would be a little bit more, but it's like, who's gonna steal gym membership? Like
yeah, right.
It's
hard enough to get people to go there.
Do.
Yeah, they're not gonna care enough.
Yeah. Like, I am going to steal a gym membership so I can go get strong. Like, no, that's not a thing people do.
Yeah. Oh, and now that I'm a reporter, so it's not that I have like a smaller town than the small town I work in, but they're both like the one I work is like 10 minutes away. But now, as being a reporter and I'm interviewing, people are gonna know me more now too.
Yeah.
So it'll be even easier. Like, oh, you're where Beverly lives. Yeah, the one with all the geese.
The reporter?
Yeah. The one who everyone felt so bad for. When the newspaper closed down, like, she just started, that poor girl.
Like everyone in town is talking about it.
They were.
Oh, the paper's closed it down. Oh no, not Beverly just started there. Oh,
seriously, my bio, like we had the intro thing, and it was like I'd been there 2 weeks, but that bio came out, a little short about me as an article, was like 2 days before it shut down. I was just like so happy to be back here and can't wait to meet all of you, and then like, closed. So funny. And on Facebook, everyone's just like, that poor girl. Nancy Drew. I don't know what we're talking about. I'd love to solve mysteries.
Oh yeah. So Johnny Boy, so when I got this laptop in February, January when it showed up, it was supposed to be signature required. They just left it outside. And by the way, the box said Lenovo on the outside, like,
oh, so then it's just times. Yeah.
So anyone could have seen that this was a fucking computer. And
yeah.
I was so angry with FedEx for that. I was like, you son of a bitch. It said signature. Actually, it wasn't FedEx. It was UPS, which is even worse. Those guys are awful.
Oh, yeah. I hate whenever they need, like, I don't even care what it, like, just leave it on my porch. We're like 50 feet inward and I live in, so like,
you're like in the,
I know, yeah. I'm like, I'm not worried about it. Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a city in a crime-ridden area. If I'm ordering a $4,500 computer, you better fucking hand it to me.
Yeah, so that's why I'm just like here. I'm like, I don't want to have to like do any work on this at all. Just drop it off. Like, you don't even come to the porch, just leave it by the road. It's good. Like, I'll get it later. But the FedEx guy, I've talked to the one when I talked to him. He has rabbits, so we've bonded over that. I'm Facebook friends with him now, actually. But yeah, even in Chicago though, because in the neighborhood that we were in, we were like slightly more outward and we had a porch. I was okay with them just leaving stuff on the front porch because we fortunately never had anything happen, but it was a nice enough area. Like, I could have, but I was just willing to risk it. But then sometimes they like would go to the backyard and like hide it in like on top of a trash or like something, put it like far in there. I'm like, well, I don't know where you put my package. They're like, you hid it from me. And I'm just like, why did you put it back here? Like, just put it on the front porch. No one's coming.
It was funny.
I appreciate it, but
speaking of like deliveries, every once in a while I watch these videos like of like fails and stuff. Like, just it's a easy way of spending some time and getting some laughs. And there was one that was like a DoorDash or Uber Eats delivery, and like they left it outside, and this person had like an inner door and an outer porch door, and they put a shake right in front of it, so they couldn't open their door without knocking it over.
Yeah.
And it was like, you bastards.
Yeah. Wow.
One of the best things I ever saw though as a delivery fail is that, so someone had one of those long handle doors. So, you know, the ones that like are like a real handle, not like a doorknob.
Oh, okay.
And like, so like one of those, and they were that's how the doorknobs were on both sides, were real handles. So The delivery guy was delivering a rather long package, like 2.5 feet, and put it uh, against the door directly under the handle, locking the person in their home. And this was an apartment, so there was not another entrance into the place. Like, literally, you
Wow.
could not open your front door with the way
Wow.
this delivery driver put the
That's
package.
terrifying.
That is horrible. I was like, damn, that's like a fire hazard, even. Like, Jesus,
Yeah.
monster.
That kind of happened to a friend of ours when we were I forget, I think we were here or whatever it was. Like we were out of town in Chicago, and our friend like went to check in on it, so he had keys. But we had like a front door, and then it went upstairs to like a landing, and then another door in there. But the lock was kind of like it would fall out of place. It was like the old kind of the bolt lock, but it would kind of jam. And I think at one point it like jammed with him inside and he couldn't get it undone. So it was just like like there was a back door that you could leave in, but then it's just like you can't really get back like you can't get in that area there because you're just stuck. And I said that, well, you can unscrew the whole and just take out the entire bolt lock if you can get it. And I think he eventually was able to do it or something though, but it was just yeah, I think he was like partially stuck or so, and it would have been bad, like stuck in that landing or something too. Though, like, oh, what if you got locked in on both sides? But
What was funny about that one story about the handle thing is that the delivery driver took a picture of the delivery.
oh, just to show like,
So it's delivered and sent it to the person, because
like,
like a lot of deliveries require that.
you're right,
Like,
yeah, to
oh,
show like this
take
was
a
here, I
photo
put it
and
there.
this is where it is and everything. It's like, you just gave them evidence of what you did.
Yeah. Cool.
And I think
Thanks.
they literally did like contact the shipping company and like showed them the picture and I'm like, look, I am stuck inside my house because of your driver.
Please send help. Trapped inside.
Trapped because of
Delivery driver
you.
did it intentionally. My maniacal laughter. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Mine was gonna be totally unrelated.
No, I'm done.
The maniacal laugh thing just reminded me about fantasy football. The only way I'm going to care about football at all that I have to hear like at this time of year and year round from the ginger. But he sent me a text the other day, like it was a screenshot of a fantasy league, and he had like my name on there, and it had an asterisk, and he said like the asterisk means that that you clinched playoffs, and I said mwahaha. And clinched playoffs means that I'm for sure in them. He was just like, fucking, yeah, that's what that means. Because I was just like, I'm winning the league. I'm that league. And then I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing on there. It's just
he's so mad. Like he's got strategy and shit.
And he's low in that. He's in a bunch of leagues, but like he's low on that one.
That really does remind me of going to the Greyhound track with my dad and just always picking a winner.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, he had all these Excel spreadsheets. Who's gonna win?
Yeah, that's what they do. Like he's constantly talking, and he was telling me, he was like, next year I think I might just do your strategy. I'm just like not trying, like your auto draft, you just pick like the highest player, the points and stuff too. Like, yeah, I don't know, it's working for me mostly. So I think it's so funny to and just to anger them, like, oh, like the others who are like so into it and so like trying so hard, and to like who knows how it'll be at the end. But I'm like 10-2 right now. We'll see how this week goes. But it's just like the other league I wasn't auto drafting. I took over for someone else who dropped out, so they weren't. So that one has been like way more hit or miss. And I think it's because I didn't get to auto draft them. And then I was telling my one friend about it. It was funny because I was talking about how the ginger, I didn't know he was so into football for like the first 2 years. He'd never talked about it. And then all of a sudden, like, where is this coming from? Why are you obsessed with this? And then my friend who I've known for like 9 years, he's like, I'm like really into football too. Like, what? Since when? Because he just we never talk about that. And but so I was telling him about the whole thing. But yeah, the other one, it's and he was saying like he tried the auto draft thing, but it didn't work for him. I'm like, well, you didn't believe in the heart of the cards enough. Like you have to like feel it and just like trust and, and trust in that. Like you don't trade. You only like you keep them as long as you can. And I have like multiple players that are like out or injured and stuff. I'm like, well, we'll see. They might get better.
They might get better. You have faith in them. You have faith in human resilience.
You could probably not be more annoying to people who like sports. Maybe if you chose the teams based on how cute their team colors are. Yeah, I kind of have that too. Like, oh, I like this. That one has purple on it. I like that. Yeah.
Well, that's actually kind of how I chose the dogs. It was basically like which one I like the look of the most. Like, like, oh, that one looks. And I here's the thing that I just realized is that maybe I was
Oh,
looking at
Yasina.
how animated they were,
Oh, yeah.
and my dad didn't have a metric for that in his Excel spreadsheets. Because it's like, like the day of the actual race for the dog or whatever, like the animal has to be feeling it. They have to be, like ready to go. If they're not feeling it, it doesn't matter how much they've been successful in the past.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I try to like I'm very analytical with a lot of things, but then there's some things where it's just kind of like, no, this is a thing. Like I just kind of have to feel it. And I'm trying to think of example. The only one I can really think of right now, at Christmas time, is a Christmas tree. And I remember shopping before in Chicago and we were like going up and down the lines of like all the trees that were leaning. And then I'm like looking at them and it's just like that's the kind of thing where I'm like, I don't know, like it just has to feel right. And it's kind of more of a subconscious thing where I'm like, the look of it, there's something there that I want. I don't really know. But when I see it,
Yeah.
and then it was like the last one in the row of the things that I was looking at. Cause I was like, maybe this one, maybe that one. And when I saw it, it was just this tall, wide, full thing. I'm like, yep. And I could feel like I felt it, like you are the right tree for me.
Well, it's something actually like a lot of really rational people like undervalue is emotional response. And it's like that is actually a data point. It's not one that is easily
Don't rely
quantifiable.
only
And
on
it's
it.
not something you should yes, don't over rely on it, but don't disregard it entirely. That is bad. And I think that happens a lot. That happens
Yeah.
so often with like highly rational people. They completely disregard emotional response. They assume, like a lot of people do, like that people react to things rationally, and it's like, I don't know. Have you met people like I don't think that's true. And that's me being rational, just seeing all the data of.
And then a lot of times too, like your emotion, it'll be built up of your past experiences and how like, oh, I'm reacting this way based on things like, so sometimes like there are reasons that you might be having this reaction that you're not consciously aware of. Like you're not thinking of all of the things to make you feel that way. But you just have to be careful too, though, because sometimes you're like, oh, my emotion might be like because of my experiences, but these are wrong, and I need to just pay attention to it. Like, see, like, okay, is this worth listening to or not?
Yes, exactly. Like I just feel like it's something that like a lot of people who do economics ignore, especially, and that's why one of the reasons why economics is very bad at predicting how things are going to happen, because they keep undervaluing the fact that a lot of people do not react to things rationally, and a lot of people do go off of emotion, maybe too much, maybe more than the economics predictors do themselves. That's the thing, is that they're basing it on how they do things, and it's like that's the way you do things, though. Like you're a very rational person. Not everyone is a rational person. That's just like it kind of like drives me crazy, and I do think that like your emotions do matter in how you make decisions, but they are not 100% of why you should make the decisions you make.
I think so. The game it's a card game, Shipwreck Arcana, would be really good for people who need to like, because it's you have to figure out, there's a lot of like kind of math thing, but it's a logic game though too. So you're trying to I don't know how to explain it well. It'll have like the cards you have tiles of numbers that you're trying to put down for other people to guess. So you're like a team, but you're kind of working with. You can't tell each other what numbers you have. You have to help them guess what numbers you're putting down, and you have to follow the instructions on the card. Like between like I'm an odd number, that something like it, but that the wording is really specific and can be really tricky. So then when you're trying to guess stuff, you're having to figure out like what does this mean, what are they thinking though too, so then you're trying to understand, like, so if you're really trying to
It's
figure
like
out like how
almost an
someone else is
empathy
thinking.
game
Mhm,
too.
or like at least understanding what their thought process is on things too. So if it's not just emotion, it's about like their logic skills, and like so it's just like this is what I would do, but like what would they do? And the ginger is not good at knowing what. That's why we're so bad at like code names. We're so bad at like those things too, because he's just does not get me. Like, no.
There's someone I can beat at rock, paper, scissors
Okay.
every time because I've known him a very long
Oh yeah.
time. And when you know someone a long time, the Big Bang Theory actually covered this. It's true. You will start doing, you will both hit rock, paper, scissors at the same time, the same result, like almost
Hmm.
every time. So what I started to do, and I told him I was doing it too, like I wasn't hiding it, is that we go so we stopped playing rock, paper, scissors, but like we go rock, paper, scissors, and like here where you generally make your decision. It's about here. I would make my decision and then choose what would beat it. So I would
Ah.
win every time. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? So
Hmm.
yeah, it's like about here you make this decision in the middle of the process and then choose the other thing on the way down.
I don't think my
And
brain works enough to like I don't play it enough, so then if I'm thinking of, like, which one to choose, then I'm like, "Which one beats it?" I don't know if I can remember which is the winner of that one in time.
and it's not like I consciously like set out with a plan, by the way, to beat him. Is just something that naturally occurred where I
Mm,
just
mhm.
started doing it and then I realized what I was doing and I was like, "Oh, holy crap." Like because I realized I was making two decisions. I
Yeah.
was like, "I'm going to do scissors." And then I would go rock like on the way
Huh.
down.
I just don't have times to play rock, paper, scissors. It's not a game that I
I used
need
to
to
play
play.
it with him all the time and then like we stopped doing
Just for
it because
fun?
like we would be trying to decide things when
Okay,
we
it is
were
a
out and
decision of, like,
about
who does
and
something. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and then like but it got unfair so we
Oh,
stopped
yeah.
doing it.
A lot of things I don't even I guess we don't really do it in a way of, like, who's doing what, though, but when we need to have choice if we have choices, then we're just always rolling dice, like, "Okay, what thing do we do?" Like, "Roll a D4."
We don't I don't have a surface to roll dice on, like besides the
The
floor and
floor.
yeah, the problem with that is that I'll attract a cat's attention if I
Yeah,
roll
yeah, and then they
something
just
on the
swat it
ground.
away, and, like, you'll
You're
never
like,
know
"Ah!"
what answer
I'll
was.
just chase it across the room. I literally like Lily plays catch, so that like
Mhm.
she literally will fetch things. Um,
Oh, I forgot. I haven't played that with Corey, and so, like, when he was younger too, especially, maybe I just need to get more. He loves paper balls, but like I would toss
oh,
them in the air, and like he eventually he started swatting them down. Like he could play volleyball. He'd be really good at that. But he
oh,
used to catch them in his mouth. Like I would toss it in his mouth, and
wow.
he would jump like 3 feet in the air, and then he would like catch them. He would catch them in his mouth, though. It was so impressive. Now he's just lame.
Lily like lays in front of the refrigerator because it pumps heat out of the bottom.
Oh
So
yeah.
she likes to sit there where it's warm. And like I come over to see her, but I put my hand on the fridge to like balance myself as I like pet her with like maybe my foot or something. And then she's like no longer calm because I put my hand on the fridge and she's like, and I know like she's prepping. She's like, okay, how far do I have to jump to grab that hand? And I'm like, like you ruined it. And she does it every time. And I'm like, you would think I would stop putting my hand there, but it's just so like I need to balance myself.
She's ready. She's waiting. They're so fun. I love animals.
I know they're adorable.
And the worst. They're adorable and the worst.
Yes,
And just
both.
keep collecting all these geese and everything, and then
Missy
keep
threw
trying
up
to
in my
meet.
bathroom and I stepped in it when I went
Oh,
to go
cats are
to the
constantly
bathroom.
I think Elsie just vomits for attention, like, when she wants food and stuff, and I think she was, like, peeing from I hope she's so I had to keep closing the bedroom door because she didn't seem sick, like, it just happens now and then. I think she pees for attention or what because she wants, like, food or something, and then
Gross.
I assume it's her. But, yeah, because she seems healthy enough otherwise, I don't know. So, just, like, closing the door, you need to knock it off and
Like, yeah, that's especially gross. Like, I
yeah, the
can
pee, poo, vomit, everything.
cats are gross, by the way. They're
It's
so
worse.
cute.
Their stuff is where, like, it's more gross than, like, goose poop and stuff to me, though, like, I don't know what, the cat pee especially is and maybe it's just because it's inside the house, but even when the geese have been inside, like, because they used to live in this room when they were little, like, the chicken when they were growing and stuff, but just, like, even having sometimes they might like, "Oh, you escaped and it's on the floor." Like, okay, this just isn't as bad as cat pee. It's just not, like or cat poop and stuff. I don't know what it is, but it's just, like, cats are the worst.
Especially male cats. Their pee is especially smelly.
Mhm. Yeah, and I know, and that's what, like, peeing outside a litter box is a concern, Coley, like, I know but that's why I was just like, "Oh, why is she doing this?" But then when she didn't seem, like, sick and it's this has been going on for, like, months, like, occasionally, though, that, like, it seems more like an intention thing, like, she's trying to say something, it's not that she's, like, sick of something, um, as far as I know, unless it's just some sort of, like, small lingering thing that but she has
Yeah.
have a vet appointment here sometime, so,
Oh, okay. Although
so they can check
your vet appointment seems to get very expensive, especially with
It has in the past with Corey, now but and vets never even know anything either, so it's just always like, "Oh, they're trying." Cause and I mean, vets and doctors, they always treat symptoms, so then it's just like, "Okay, well, the thing that you treated, it's still not gone." Like, Elsie gets, like, some swelling in her eye now and then, and the vet treated it once. She's like, "Oh, it could be a spider bite." I'm like, "No, this is a chronic thing, like, this happened, like, it just always comes back." And I tried, like, explaining that, and she still was just like, "Well, give this." And I had asked before I have, uh Metacam for, like, the chickens and geese and stuff ducks, I think it was the ducks initially, and it helps, it's a pain reliever like, an NSAID or I think it helps
inflammation.
inflammation, thank you. And so I was wondering and I tried calling to ask, but then they were like, "Oh, it's not safe for cats, though." And I was, like, looking up, like, yeah, like, they have dogs and cat like, they both exist on there for it, and I got it for ducks, like, they use it for other animals. So I was just wondering, like, all medications, like, there's potential risks, but I was just like, I don't know why they're saying that she can't like, they would want to schedule and give me more. I'm like, "I already have this, I have a big thing of it to give, like, the birds if they need like some sort of like pain reliever." And so I was just like, why can't she potentially have like try this when it's swelling to see though? So I may ask the vet directly and see if it's something I'm like, I already have this. I want a medicine that I can just hold on to because this is chronic. It doesn't go away. So I need
Yeah.
something to help her and not get it that like every time I don't want to have to go to the vet each time.
Yeah, that's the thing is that like when it comes to
Yeah.
medications, medications are like they're a chemical. They're a chemical compound, almost every single one of them. And with other like delivery compounds. And the thing is though is that like most of them are safe. Like it's the same thing in human form, in animal
Mhm.
form. It's the same compound. Like they don't name different compounds the same fucking name. That's not something that they do. But the problem is that the delivery chemicals, those things, you do have to check those to see whether or not those are safe for every animal. And then the dosage is also a concern. But like
Right.
for the
Dosage is a
most
big one.
part, yeah, like for the most part, like cats and dogs can have Benadryl. Like
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
it's not it's not something I don't understand why people have this weird idea that like oh it's like there's oats for dogs and there's for cows and there's oats for humans. They're all oats. Like
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
same
Well, that's
fucking
what and, like, some vets will admit to it too, like, "Oh, like, this medicine that we're giving, like, this is just another name and then saying it's for labeled for animals, but you can also give this human one too, and it can work for it."
Yeah,
And
well,
they've
because
done
if you look at so like if you look at most medications, they have the name like like brand name or whatever, or like off brand name. But then if you look at the actual thing, it says a real hard to pronounce word.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I got the
so this
point.
one's like my bottle of Benadryl that I keep on my desk for when my allergies are really bad. Diphenhydramine HCl.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yep. I know
and
that.
that's this, like, there'll be dog versions of that, but it's still going to be that chemical. Like, I guarantee you. Like, and that's the problem, is that, like, like, they put other fancy names on things, but they usually also put the actual chemical name on it. So to me, I'm sort of like, just look at that, look it up, see like what dosage and shit like that, see if there's any of those other like inactive and delivery ingredients that are possibly dangerous. Those kinds of things you need to know. Like, you do need to know those things, but like this whole idea that, oh no, we need to give you a special version, like
Mm-hmm.
it's not a special version.
Right. Yeah. And especially when they say like they do have it all, because they said like, oh, that medicine at all, it can't be for cats. Like when I looked it up, like, yes, it can't. Like they have it for it. And then like, and if it, I haven't looked specifically, but if they, I don't remember if they had like one specifically for dogs and for cats, or it was just like, yeah, they've treated cats with the same medicine as they have dogs. Like I do know that they have used it. And some people have said like, hey, my cat got worse or died or something like, and those will happen. Who knows if it was like because of it or something else. But like, of course, those things are going to always be there for everything. But like the vet people were saying like that it's just not used on them at all. It's just that. So like, I don't,
That's
well,
yeah.
like, well, that's just wrong. Like that is inaccurate information because I see that they have this for cats. So I don't understand. Hi,
Yeah, I
John
know.
Delarose.
We're way past normal
I
streaming
know. Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And then we're just
And
gonna
I'm like starting,
fall
I
asleep.
can
Yeah.
tell you why. I can tell you why right now. I used
You
my
take Benad.
inhaler.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The like literally that like revitalized me.
Yeah, okay. That's how you're like,
Like,
yeah.
it solved my asthma attack, but it also gave me a bit of a like energy spike
Yeah.
here.
Oh, nice. Horse water. It's just water.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. So I just hopefully I need to call and find out because I remember scheduling it, I think, in December, but it's not in my calendar. And if since I didn't put it in there, I have no idea when anything is gonna be happening though, as I have to put everything on my phone calendar or I'll forget.
So what are the movies we're watching again? We're talking about
Violent Night,
Violent Night, which just
Krampus.
came.
Yeah,
That one, Violent Night, might be hard for me to do.
Violent Night is coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I guess if it ends up we can see then like if it ends up being difficult to get a hold of, then we can wait and like push it horror. So what else do we have? So we did comedy, horror, we need animation, and fantasy or sci-fi. And then there's a fifth week though. So we need to have so it can be, I don't
Oh
know, we can just do
yeah.
like rom-com or whatever. Like it could be a free for all, like any kind of
Yeah. Oh, let's do rom-coms. I love
yeah, me too. I
rom-coms.
just started like several different ones today because I was just like, I still don't have Christmas stuff, but it's December, so I started Princess Switch, and then a couple other ones. But I was just that was the one the other ones I started, and I'm like, I don't feel like doing these ones as like the day one of December Christmas movies. So like Princess Switch might be okay.
What was the third horror Christmas
Well,
movie you
Black
mentioned?
Christmas was mentioned. We don't have to do that one. That one is just that's the first slasher movie that I thought was boring. So if we want to do three of them, we can do that one. Or if anyone else has any horror Christmas suggestions.
Is that from 2019 or
Oh, I haven't seen
2006 or
no. I
1974?
was talking about the 1974 one, but I haven't seen the
Oh, okay.
2019 one. So I'd actually be interested in watching the 2019 Black Christmas because I haven't
Okay,
seen
well,
whatever the newer ones are.
okay. So not the middle one, but
I don't know. I can just do all of them. We're probably all
all
going to be the
three. This
same
is a
movie anyway.
Black Christmas, and Black
Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah. I guess I'd say like focus on 2019 if we watch the other one. And I already know the original one. I'm probably not going to sit through that again because it was just random slasher. So there
Okay.
wasn't really a point for the Mean One Grinch horror comedy. Like, what's that? Is the Mean One the name of it? The Mean One.
Oh God.
Grinch horror movie. Oh, I'm not seeing like an actual thing. What did you find?
No, I'm just looking at this description of Black Christmas for 2019, and it made me laugh because it's just so silly sounding. The women of a female sorority stage a female sorority, not to be
Oh,
confused
the
with those
male.
non-female sororities,
Yeah.
stage a Christmas performance with a difference, hitting out at the predatory culture of the male sororities.
Oh.
Who wrote that?
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, let's definitely watch 2019.
Yeah.
Let's see how that plays out. And JDA is promoting Yay 24. And Johnny Boy had said, maybe a Hallmark movie. We can watch a woman fight hard to save the cookie factory right before Christmas and fall in love with the plant manager along the way. Yeah.
We could watch 4 different Melissa Joan Hart Christmas rom-coms. I
Yeah.
guarantee you there's at least 4.
I know 2 off the top of my head. I need to look up others, but I can't remember what the names of them are now. But
The one I watched was Christmas in Handcuffs.
Yeah,
I
that's
keep
it. That's
opening
it.
up the IMDb and it's all like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I'm like, oh my god, would you stop it with these remakes and these sequels? I'm so tired of it.
Dial of Destiny, is that a new sequel?
It's a new sequel.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's just never gonna end, huh?
Nope.
At least it still has Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
If you're gonna do sequels, keep them. So, Joyeux Noel is a nice World War I Christmas movie.
Let's see. For Melissa Joan Hart, Mistletoe in Montana, Dear Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Christmas Reservations.
Is it Feliz Navidad? Is that supposed to be
Dad? Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe No Good. No, that's a TV series. A Very Nutty Christmas. A Very Merry Toy Story. Broadcasting Christmas. Like, oh my God, there's how many are there?
Yeah. Have I seen
The Santa
Feliz
Con?
Navidad? I think I have. There's the one that she's a podcaster too, and it seems like it's written by people who don't know what a podcast is.
I think that's Broadcasting Christmas, probably.
Maybe.
Holiday in Handcuffs. That's the first one.
That's
That's
the
the
one I
only one I've
remember.
seen. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that one too.
I like how she just started doing all of these. You know who all started doing that? Josh Duhamel.
Which one's that?
Josh Duhamel is he's the Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. He's Tad Hamilton.
Oh.
He's also in the Transformers movies.
Yeah, that's why I don't think I know him. I don't think I've watched like anything he's been in.
But he's done so many like made for TV romances.
Oh, yeah, he was in movie 43 and
he was.
he whatever in Beazle. Okay. That's right. I don't think I've seen none of the movies he's been in.
None of them.
Television. Let's see. All My Children. Veronica Mars. I have seen Veronica Mars. That is like the only thing. So movie 43 and Veronica Mars, I think, have been the only things I've seen him in.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
He has done a lot, though.
He has, and they're just all movies I've never seen.
Yeah. You've literally never seen any of the Transformers movies?
I've seen like parts of the first one, maybe when it's been like playing on TV at wherever I've been at or something. But yeah, I've never gotten into it.
You don't need to watch them, don't worry.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, another remake, sequel, reboot, boot bullshit thing that I also heard about recently. They are doing Transformers Rise of the Beasts, which is Beast Wars Transformers, that 93 to 96 TV show, computer animated TV show, when it was pretty new to do computer animation. Beast Wars was my favorite Transformers show, and I guarantee you I am not watching Transformers Rise of the Beasts. All I want to do now is go back and watch Beast Wars.
Okay. Well, so if we can watch the horror movies, or if we
Yeah.
have Violent Night, then we'll do that next week. And then if not, we'll swap things around. We'll need animations, we'll need sci-fi or fantasy, and then rom-com stuff though. And we'll figure out which week what we want to do.
Yeah.
We don't need to
We
keep the
can.
same order, but
Yeah. No.
uh,
But I'll look to see what else is going on. If like romance or
mhm.
whatever, like whatever we pick, sci-fi or fantasy. I don't know if there are sci-fi fantasy
Christmas
Christmas
things. I'm
movies
sure there are somewhere that falls. And
somewhere.
I mean, I guess most Santa things would fall under fantasy. So
That's kind of true, like the Santa
So
Claus
yeah, that's what
movies.
I was thinking too. Yeah. So if we can be loose on stuff, like I'm totally fine with us doing themes of things. If like I said, like horror, it might be like horror, mystery, thriller, or something that like we can loosen up the themes depending on stuff. So I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But all right. Well, I'm exhausted. I need to go check on these ducks too, and busy day tomorrow. Um,
A Star Wars Christmas special. I guess that does count.
yeah. Is that a thing? I'm sure it's a thing. An all-female remake of
It is a
Shawshank
thing, and it's
Redemption.
terrible.
Trans women, of course. I love it, Johnny boy. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Again, follow Alex on her channel for gaming. Join my Discord. It's pretty active for the number of people that are in there. I get so far behind, and then I'm days late or like a week late, and I'm like responding to all these things. I'm like, I'm reading through them. I'm just super late in it. I've just been busy. So I'm trying to be active. I've got Subscribestar. Again, thank you for those who are. I'll message you guys if you want to be, once I do end credits, if you want to be in that. I can do that. And hopefully I can do it in a way that, trolls you guys too. I'll have to think about that. What else? So tomorrow night, 7:30, 10 Pacific, 8:30 Mountain, 9:30 Central, and 10:30 Eastern. I think that's everything. And then we'll post in the Discord. Yeah, join the Discord because that's where we're posting all our videos for things. And Alex posts her gaming stuff on there too. So thank you guys for watching. Have a good night. I was trying to think, are there holidays I need to be wishing? Like, no, we're good right now.
Not yet.
Just be prepared for lots of Christmas to come. I might be streaming on Tuesday again. I might try to make that a thing. We'll see. Tuesday or Wednesday. Still figuring stuff out. It'll just be the overflow of whatever I'm watching outside of the things that we're watching for Thursdays is kind of, and maybe like entertainment news or something though. So I don't know if I happen to know any of those things. So, and that will probably be at 9 Eastern as well. But that might change too. I don't know. I'm not being consistent with anything. So we'll see. But thank you, Alex,
Oh my
again,
gosh.
as always. What? Don't forget to tell Alex. And on the comments was on the brand part, so I didn't see it. Thank you, Johnny Boy, for reminding me. I almost forgot. I would never forget. So yeah, I think I was probably
should have given you my address.
yeah, I've already sent a bunch of heart-shaped cookies that say I love you, Alex, on them. But I think that's probably where I was going to go with it. Like, thank you as always, Alex, for joining me on air, joining me in life, hopefully in marriage at some point, and unrequited night. And yeah, and thank you for accepting my unrequited love for you. Which then I think makes it requited if you do accept it. So there you go.
I think
you can accept it without
means unreturned.
Yeah. So can you accept it without returning? So you can just be like, "Thank you for this. I appreciate it." You don't do that, but I'm saying that one could do that.
Yes,
You flat out
I think
reject
that
it.
is possible.
I'm saying you generally that someone could do this. Heart-shaped cookies that say, "Would you eat me?"
Oh, gross.
All right. Well, I think this is a good time to end the stream.
This if we don't, the sex bots are definitely going to show up.
I'm disappointed they hadn't yet. Well, thank you guys. Oh, Missy's upset. So have a good night. Yeah, I would need to too. Have a good night, everyone. Have a good night, Alex. Red velvet cookies.
Gross.
All right, bye guys. I mean, you guys are creeping me out now. I've had enough. No, I'm joking. I have a very high bar for like I'm not easily creeped out by things. Keep it coming. Keep it coming hard. Bye.